Welcome to the school. Welcome to the school, where entertainment and enlightenment meets.
Peace, 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 everyone. And I am back. This is The Scoop with your hostess, Fari X. Tonight, I should say, this evening, it is 7:02 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. I told you all that I had a special person coming on the show. Special. I'm gonna tell you why he's special to me. That's because he represents Dr. Malachi York. He's the voice for him. I should say that he's the voice for him since he's unable to speak for himself at this point. So he's on here and he's gonna talk to us a little. He's gonna shed some light about Malachi Z. York's case and what's been going on with him, and the lies and so forth that's been spread through the mayonnaise media, the pink media, and all that. We're gonna learn some things today because the truth be told, that every time we do hear things about Dr. York and the Nubian nation, we hear a lot of negative stuff, and behind every negativity, there's some type of light there. There's some type of positivity there that people are trying to shade over. And that's just the truth. Regardless of anything, that's just the truth, okay? Now, we all have our own opinions on this man. We do, okay? I'm aware of that because I'm someone else. I'm one of those people who have my own, and so forth him, but I don't know him. I don't know who he is. Never met him. Have a couple of friends, associates, really good associates that I can call a friend who are, a part of the Nubian nation, and very, very good people. I will say that every Nubian I've met have been very, very good people, very nice people, peaceful people. That's what I would describe the encounters I've had with the Nubians that I've come across. They don't argue. They don't come on my post to start mess. They kind of just, they let me post what I want to post, and that's that. And they don't come on my post with that mess. Unlike some other, I guess you say groups or sects, so they want to call it, or cults, so they name the Nubians or whatever. So I will say that they've been some respectful people to me, and when I was asked about this particular brother that's coming on the show, they said, I want someone to come on the show to talk about Dr. York. And I was like, I kind of thought, I was a little hesitant on it at first. I was like, I don't know if I want that on my show. I don't know, because it's always some mess behind him. And I'm like, I don't know if I want that, because I know how people get when they get to talk about Dr. York. So I'm like, I don't know, man. I just didn't know. But then I was like, all right, you know what? Yes. Why not? Because this is not a debate. There's not going to be, somebody sitting next to the brother that's coming on the show arguing with him to tell him X, Y, and Z, and he's wrong, and this, that, and the third about Dr. York, So I said, what, this is the best place for them to be able to express their notions and their feelings in regards to the situation and their facts, their truths, So that's why he's here today, because I am going to allow him to tell us all what has been going on. He's been working with Dr. York's attorney for years. So this man, he has a lot of insight, a lot of knowledge on, Dr. York. So I'm going to welcome him to the show. His name is AmunEmHatap. And I believe I said that right. Okay, I've been practicing. I kept practicing before I put him on, calling him all kind of other names. But it's AmunEmHatap. But call him Amun, all right, for short. Welcome.
Hey,
Brother.
Robert, sister.
How are
Father,
you?
I'm doing my best. Thank you for having me on your show.
Say that again. What did you say?
I said thank you for having me on your show. Yeah, I'm getting a little
No,
delay
no.
here.
Say it the way
Um,
you just said it. You said Robert.
Oh,
What did you
Robert.
say?
Yeah, that was greetings.
Robert.
Yeah, Robert.
Robert. Oh, okay, okay. I
Yeah.
thought you said Robert.
Yeah.
Nice to see
That's
you. Nice
greetings
to
and
see you, and finally, hear your voice and so forth.
yes, thank you.
Okay. I gave a brief introduction on, who you are and um who you represent, and I just wanted, some of my viewers who are not familiar with you or with, the whole Nuwapian nation. I just wanted to give a little quick breakdown because a lot of people have already heard about, Dr. York. A lot of people, especially the people who are part of the conscious and quote unquote woke community. We've heard many things about him, and nothing really too good. Nothing really too good. So I want you to show about your experience being a part of, the Nuwapian nation and what you know, what you've learned and what you've seen with your own eyes and, all that. Just let us know. Let us know what you know and about his case too. Yes, let us know.
Start
It looks like
every
you know a
just
lot.
start all over the I don't
It
know
looks
where
like you
you want me to
know it
start.
all.
Oh,
Let's start
I'm
from day
sorry.
one when you
My
joined.
mic
Let's
is
start
breaking
about
up.
when you became a part of the nation.
Okay.
Tell us about that.
Well, that started 50 years ago. I was born 1970. I didn't meet the information in Dr. York or BahBah Yaanun until 1989. So from 89 up until now, I've been a member, a student, a teacher, a student teacher. I had
Sabian
bookstores,
nation.
taught class. Yeah, Sabaean or Sabian. That is the title that we use now. But we're
Great.
still known as Nuwapians. And Nuwapian, of course, means to replace. And we're here to replace the lies with the truth. So it
Hmm.
was good that your title of the show was the truth about Dr. York. For many years, he's been teaching and raising the conscious level of our people here in the West as well as around the world. And in doing so, he's become a target, of course, as
Hmm.
any other leader would be. And so, in doing that, um, moving from New York after taking us through these different schools, we went through the three major religions, which was Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. And the purpose of going through those religions is because that being ex-slaves or being brought in America by Adamites, some that was brought, some of us was already here, we was indoctrinated with religion and belief, and that ignorance has allowed them to rule over us. So, and to free us, Dr. York came to right the wrong and take the blinders off or take us away from belief and faith and bring us into right knowledge and sound right reasoning. So this is what led us into Georgia, moving to Georgia as Native Americans, because some of us that are part of the Sabian nation are from or are part of Native tribes. And as being Yamasee, we moved from New York down to Georgia and bought land in Georgia, 476 acres of land. That land was a part of our tribe, and we was building on that tribe since 1992. Around 96, we started getting harassed by the officials in Edenton and Putnam County in Georgia, and that harassment eventually led up to Dr. York's kidnapping, or if they want to call it arrest, and with the false charges. So that brings us up to the last 18 years. He's been held in, well, in prison, but for the last 12, he's been in ADX or Supermax out in Florence, Colorado. So this is where we at with fighting to get him released. During this time in 1999 of December, well, of course, prior to that, when all this was happening in Georgia and they was trumping up charges and coming up with building codes, trying to say we was violating building codes on the land, Dr. York removed himself from Edenton and moved to Athens. Um, in 1996, he went to back to Africa because he was originally born in Ghana. He went back to Africa and became a citizen of Liberia. In 1999, he was made a full diplomat and consul general and assigned near Atlanta, Georgia. Um,
Hmm.
so in coming back and now Liberia having 476 acres of land, if that land would have became a embassy and sovereign for all those that are wanting to return home, Edenton saw that as a problem because now you're talking about to them black folks saying they're their own nation and they don't have to follow our rules and our laws. So you're not slaves anymore. So now it's, of course they didn't like that. And so the harassment continued until they chumped up charges, got people that was disgruntled members and actually children of Dr. York's to get involved to create this conspiracy to put him in jail. And of course, when it comes to the type of crimes he was initially charged with, which was sex crimes to children, only thing you need is to hear that and people's antennas go up. And so the assumptions start and the beliefs, and that's one thing is very hard to prove or disprove because it's just this person's word against the other. And so majority of the time in a trial case, which he was not convicted. Let me make this clear too. He was not convicted for child molestation, rape, and all the other things that they are claiming that he's in prison for. He's actually in prison for RICO and Mann Acts and structuring money. So they moved it from state into federal charges. So he's serving federal time.
What
That is
exactly is
another thing, of
RICO?
course. RICO, like mob bosses. They say it was Rico. They say he structured an
Oh,
organization and used this organization to fund supposedly his personal needs, transporting minors across state lines with the intent. See, they don't have to prove the actual intention of the actual act. They can just say, well, he intended to rob the bank because he went into the bank with a mask and a gun. So they can create a charge and charge you for um, with the intent, your intentions. So how can you prove intentions until I actually do it? Let's say mind readers. So
mm.
these are the actual charges, that he's under, and he was sentenced to 135 years. So he got max on every count. He was found um, guilty on 8 out of the 13 counts. And
Damn.
of course, that the land forfeiture was one of the counts. And if they only posed that came and got land that he had an interest in, but he had no interest in the 476 acres in Edenton, Georgia, because he had moved off that land, and it wasn't even in his name. So again, those officials, racist officials in Edenton, Georgia, and Putnam County, they wanted that land because of what we was doing on the land and building pyramids and structures. Uh, you look at that from a white southern mentality. They said, well, these people are moving in, taking over a few more acres, and we would have had enough to be a county. So,
Mm-hmm.
people feel threatened, not only just by our presence, but by the fact of what BahBah Yaanun or His Excellency Dr. Malachi Z. Corbina York was doing, was educating. It was people coming to the land every week for class. We had, celebrations during June called the Z Festival, where thousands of people around the world was coming to Edenton. And so they saw flocks of people by the thousands. At one time it was calculated it was only 30,000 people in this little town. And so that frightened that good old Southern, you know, good boy mentality that they have, and if
Mm-hmm.
those type of people would show up and had to put a stop to it. I mean, this is another reason why he's locked up. If you can see, it's he's authored hundreds and hundreds of books. It constantly goes. It's nonstop when he's teaching you about our culture, um, who we are, where we came from, where we originated from, um, how we got here from the stars. I mean, this is the threat. It's like teaching our slaves to read. What what would they do next?
So he
And
authored all
eventually
those books right there?
yes, these are, and this is just some of them. This is not even all of them. This is just a few. So that I just actually have sitting here at my desk.
That's just a
But
few.
yeah, I mean, over hundreds, um, literally over 400 and some books to date, and he's still writing. So um, they came up with charges and arrested him and sentenced him
So it was
and tried to
Eatonton
lock
that
him away
actually
for life.
started it. It was the citizen, the people of Eatonton that got together and did this, formed this against Dr. York. You're
Yes,
saying?
yes, it was
Mm.
officials, the sheriff in Edenton, Sheriff Seals, Howard Richard Seals was the sheriff at that time in Edenton in Georgia, and it started with the simplest things of, the door. We had buildings on the land, so that door was not wide enough. So the sheriff became the building inspector slash building inspector when actually he wasn't. And this is how the harassment started. And because they couldn't find or get anything to stick on that, eventually they came up with um, these charges, which actually, if you go back and look at a, excuse me, if you go and look at there was a movie that came out on HBO called Indictment, and that movie was actually a copy of what they did, because at one time they had 208 counts charged to Dr. York. And in that movie Indictment that came on HBO, it was a man who was obsessed with pyramids, and he was charged with touching and molesting kids in a daycare. So that sex charge is something they've always used,
Mm.
and it's easy to get or pay someone to say, well, he touched me inappropriately, or he did this, when you're the only two in the room. I mean, it's a list of men that you can just go down that has been charged and sent to prison for. But again, that was just to smear his name. That was to
So
get the idea in people's minds.
again,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
so that was just a charge. It wasn't a conviction. You're saying?
Right. Because the state case,
I said that was just a charge. It wasn't a conviction. He was never convicted.
it was never convicted in
Mm.
state. The state case was dead docket because it was superseding indictment that came in from the federal, and the case went into a federal trial. And they have a pleading guilty video that they love, that some of your slanders, as you was talking about earlier, that didn't want this on your show. They The court recorded that and put that out just to create the defaming of Dr. York. And so in doing that, lots of people want to now, all of a sudden there's lots of conscious minded people that say, oh well, because the pale man, the white man said he's guilty, he must be guilty now. But he's lying about everything else though. All these same people will be saying, oh, it ain't no coronavirus, it's not this, and you can't trust the white man. But then as soon as they go against something that, or say something that they agree with, now you can trust the white man all of a sudden. So that's, it's
Mm.
always going to be, that those negatrons are people who just seek and look for negativity, compared to, if it can happen to an innocent man, what happens when it happens to you, and then you're sitting in prison, and you didn't commit the crime. You want somebody to be fighting for you. So it's people that still, I mean, if they happy that Dr. York's in prison, what do they got a problem with, you know? But because they know he's innocent.
And I have a question. Did Dr. York admit to raping or touching or doing anything to young children? At
No,
any
he's
point in
never
time,
admitted
did
that.
he admit that? He's never admitted that.
No,
So
he's never
why
admitted that.
so why are people saying that he admitted to doing that to children? Where did
Because
they
of the
get that from?
video. They got it from a video that was posted by the Georgia officials of a court when they brought Dr. York in after being tortured and not allowed to rest and have proper um, attention, to
Mm-hmm.
accept a guilty plea, because they said this is the only way you're going to get out of this, to accept this guilty plea by attorneys that he did not hire. So Dr. York at the time was trying to fire these attorneys that other family members hired for him. Dr. York had already had an attorney um, on retainer. So to get him to accept this plea, he said, well, other people that was arrested with you would go free. And his wife, Kathy Johnson, at the time was suffering from MS. And if they was getting treated the way they was treating Dr. York, he wanted those people to go free. He said, fine, I'll take this burden and accept and say I'm guilty if y'all let them go. And they told him that we would be able to keep our land. They just wanted you. So of course that didn't work when the
So he
judge
was like
saw.
bribed. They kind of like played him to say that.
Yeah, he was under duress. And so this is
Hmm.
why the guilty plea was rejected, because when they came for the hearing and to make sure that you sure you're accepting his guilty plea, he rejected it and told them about his Native American status, and the judge asked for a mental evaluation. So they sent him to New York to find out if Dr. York could stand trial. And so in doing this process, the judge recused himself and took himself off of the case because he didn't want to move forward in this case. And so when they did say he was able to stand trial, they switched it into federal court, moved the trial to Bushwick, Georgia, and had Ashley C. Royals um, over the case, which was a conflict of interest at two, because Ashley C. Royals was an attorney that was going against Dr. York's wife, whose father had some malpractice suit against the hospital in Georgia. And he was
Hmm.
that attorney at the time. So he knew who Dr. York was. And so all these connections, like I said, this is Georgia, good old boy land. And so they was all working together to get our land and put this man in jail. And this is what they did.
So he's been years, and you all been trying to get him out, get him free for the last 18 years. That's what you said,
Correct.
correct?
You're breaking up some. Yes, that's what I said.
Yeah, that's okay. All right. So I'm not. That's what I was trying to figure out before we went live if I was breaking up. But okay, so he's been in there for 18 years. You all been trying to get. So what really is the holdup? What's happening? Like, is he being denied? Like, what's going on? Like, have y'all tried to do a retrial? Like, what's happening? Is he still there if he is actually innocent?
Right. He's still in trial. He's still in jail. Um, it's several things we're doing, and of course, it doesn't. The conspiracy didn't stop with Georgia once they got him into prison. He's in a supermax prison,
Right.
locked down 24/7.
Hmm.
They've cut off his communication with family, with attorneys. It's all types of games that they play in ADX to stop you from fighting your case. Um, they change rules and regulations. One day you can't even wear a jacket into a legal visit. The next day you have to show, license and registration of the vehicle just to get on the premises. It's they'll come up with anything to stop, because I was visiting as a legal assistant to his attorney, who is still his attorney, Victoria Broussard, attorney Broussard. And the prison itself is hindering his fight for his freedom. Um, Now, all the appeals except for one, he has exalted, and so there is one left. It's for new evidence, and then there has been new evidence that has been brought forth. Um, what we're waiting on actually is for Liberia to step in and have him repatriated. And because Liberia seems to be under the thumb of America, the United States, that
Hmm.
process is moving slow, but it is moving. It's just moving very slow. And so throughout the different presidents that Liberia has had, and what type of relationships they've had with America, it seems to be hindering his repatriation. Because once Liberia comes forth, in which they've had already in 2004, to have him repatriated, the United States stated that Dr. York is not a Liberian, that he was born here in Boston. And so all that is technical documents that we have that could be, fought in court, because according to the BOP and United States of America, this is where your case has to be proven. So
Mm.
is in court. Um, at the time, Dr. York had filed suit against Liberia for um, for not coming to repatriate him and what he's suffering from under being tortured there under human rights. And the case went into ECOWAS. And for a case to be heard in ECOWAS means you are an African citizen of 16 countries. So you wouldn't be able to have a case heard on your behalf, as Dr. York has, if he was a U.S. citizen. So we have two countries that seem to either be playing with each other or against each other. We're not sure, but hopefully Liberia will step up and do the right thing and free this 75-year-old man. And that will bring everything back to us, our land, all the money that was stolen, um, and the whole time that he's suffered for 18 years in prison. And the
Mm.
United States and Georgia doesn't have that money. So they definitely don't want to go back to court or, be found guilty where everything, all this is overturned. But it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah. I'm 75 years old. He's old. He's old. And he's unable to have contact with any of his family?
Right. The BOP was ADX will give him Trump bogus charges to take away his privileges. They'll say, "Oh, you wrote in code in a letter just so they can take away family visits, so he doesn't get to see his wife, his children. He don't even have phone calls, and is very limited to who he can write. They give him a list of people, 5 or 6 people who he can write, and then they change it based on however they feel. So that's another, you know, issues that we're fighting in court. We're filing for restrictions, how they cut off his attorney. So if you file something in court and you don't, and the attorney cannot interact with their client, you're already violating the law. So to bring more awareness, and thank you for this show, to bring these things out and for people to actually know, what we're fighting against. It's not just, some racist officials in Georgia. This is a system. As we can see what's going on in America around us, we can see what's actually happening and taking place to us as black men, as they want to call us, being shot down in the street for for anything. They don't even have to shoot you down. They can just choke you out in broad daylight now. So to have these type of experiences, living in a country, and we sit back and just want to point the finger and say, well, it's I got a good job. Y'all just need to be better. It's basically saying y'all need to be better slaves, so these things won't happen to you. We have to
Yeah,
come together and unite.
it's terrible. It's terrible to hear, you know, um, what you have to say about this. Like, I didn't know a lot of what you just brought forth to me. I didn't know. And it's terrible. And just the fact that you're telling me that this man is 75 years old, he's an old man. He's an old man, and they're still putting him through that. It's like they're trying to kill him in there.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
it's like they're trying to
that's
kill him in
exactly
there. They're trying to kill him.
exactly.
That's terrible. That we got a question on here real quick. Hold on, let me put it up.
Let me just add while you pull it up real quick. Let me add this: when you say they're trying to kill him, he suffered from a medical condition. He has hereditary angioedema, which his mouth, tongue, lips can swell up, and he can suffocate. They deny him medication for that angioedema. So they are literally trying to kill him. in prison. You said you had a question.
There it is right there. I must ask, what is the ESCOWA's decision?
What was the ECOWAS decision?
Yeah, the
The Dr.
ECOWAS.
York's
Yes.
case? Yeah, in ECOWAS, it was denied. The case was actually it was a civil suit. So they found favor in Liberia for not being responsible. That's what the case in ECOWAS was about. Most people, because of misinformation, are thinking that that case had something to do with BahBah's or Dr. York's repatriation. And it wasn't. It was Dr. York suing Liberia in a civil suit.
Mm. I want to. This is deep. This is very deep. I don't think a lot. I believe that there's a lot of people that didn't know most of what you're telling me right now, or telling us. Because we hear so much of the bad about it, a lot. When I first ever heard about Dr. York, it was nothing but bad things. You
Right.
know what I mean? So I didn't hear anything good about him, but I did know I've always used my own mind. So I was wise enough to know and smart enough to know that I seen he was definitely he was doing what he could, what he felt like he should do to bring the black nation together. And I seen that he was doing that. He was building,
That's right.
you know. That was just me, an outsider looking in. I wasn't inside. I was just an outsider looking in. So I did see that. And to me, that's always been a positive thing when I see our people coming together and building, instead of destroying. And that again, that's why I wanted you on the show. I said, okay, you can come on because I didn't want to hear anything else negative. I wanted to hear something else, want to hear something else. And the only way I could hear something else is to speak to someone who knows, you know? And I do appreciate you for coming on here to shed that light. I do. I do.
Well,
I
thank
really
you.
do. And I'm pretty sure his family does as well. Do you have contact with his children?
Some I do,
Do you
yes.
speak with
His
him?
wife, yeah.
Some?
As many that's are still a part of the nation. Everyone that wants his freedom is all working together. So we're all over, from London to Georgia to New York. Um, we're scattered throughout this planet, and we have nation conference calls where the family can come together and get updates as well. So we're all staying in contact. We're all working together for his freedom.
The one son that I see a lot, see him on, different videos, Prince.
Yes,
Do
Prince
you
York.
speak with him?
Yes, I've spoke with him. I haven't
You
spoke with
speak
him
with him?
lately. Yes, we're in communications.
So it's so he's definitely, trying to help his father as well, right? Get out of the situation he's in.
Yes, most definitely.
He is.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm not,
Um,
I don't really know much about his son like that. I've just seen him. I've heard him talk. He's an intellectual young man and so forth. So I've heard him speak numerous times actually, but I don't really know much about him. Besides that's his father. He does go around and teach like his father was doing as well. But I didn't know if he was a part of anything trying to get his father out of there, or if he was just kind of stepping aside because of fear. A lot of people don't even like to help their own family because they're scared. So I didn't. That was my main question. Like, is he actually, you know, trying to help his dad, or is he stepping aside and just doing the teaching, but without getting involved with the law part? That was really what I wanted to know. Doing something to help his father get out.
yes, it's lots of people that's involved and actually committed in doing things, but because of how media now takes things and or even social media takes things and distorts it, um, a lot has been asked to not speak about and not address in public. So it's lots of behind the door when it comes to his legal fight that we're doing off camera, out of the scene of the media, because
It's very
there's
involved.
people, as you said, there was didn't want this show to happen, that will hear something or find out something, and they'll run and call um, the Liberian embassy and harass them and say that they're Nuwapians or that they're Sabians or that they're calling on the behalf of Dr. York to make us look bad. These are things that act to prison. They'll call the prison and harass the prison and go up. These are things that are actually have taken place that makes Dr. York have that taboo name, because you have black devils that's out here along with, or minions of the devil that work alongside them to keep this from happening, to give us that bad name and bad reputation. So we decided as a tribe, as a family, as a nation, to let's bring it back some, and let's keep the legal in the fight, amongst us as as family. So
Why do you think y'all are hated so much by the people? Like, what is it? By our own people on top of that. Why do you think that y'all are hated so much?
it's out of ignorance. Most people don't take the time to really find out who we are and what we're about.
Hmm.
So out of ignorance, they say, well, just because they don't believe like I do, I don't like them. If a person's a Muslim or if they have Islamic background, they say, well, they believe in something else. I don't like them. I don't believe it. Dr. York should do it. It's always based on some belief, compared to, we're all in the same boat and the boat has a hole in it. What are we going to do? We're going to fight over whose belief is right, or we're going to cover up the hole, get the water out the boat, and get to the other side. So I really don't know. It varies, but it's most of the time it's always based off of religion, some belief. Oh, they said y'all believe in UFOs and extraterrestrials. Okay, so are we wrong for that? I mean, there's many groups that believe in UFOs and extraterrestrials before you heard it come from us. So is that grounds to not like us? Because we have a different amount, a different form of information.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I don't think that our people should be so hard and hateful just because of someone else's belief or religion. You know, you can disagree with it, you cannot believe it, or you can feel you have your own knowledge, understanding, and so forth on it, but you don't have to be so hateful towards your people just because you don't believe in the same thing. That's
Exactly.
ridiculous.
Like we don't
That's
all eat the same
ridiculous. It really,
foods. We
really
don't.
is.
So I'm gonna
Yeah,
hate you because you
it's
eat
just
the same
ridiculous to
food.
me.
It very
It's
much
just
is.
craziness. It's craziness, and I think that is what it is. I asked you, why do you think they hate you so much, hate that nation so much, and I really do believe that has a lot to do with it. It's because of your belief system, what you all believe versus what
Well,
they believe,
it's
or
really
what.
more of what they believe. Because most of the time they don't even know. We don't really have a belief system.
It,
It's really what they believe we believe. That's where the problem comes in at.
mm, mm, yeah. Okay, so get on the. Okay, where did Doctor York? Where did he learn what he learned, like his teachings? How did he come about all the knowledge that he put together
That's a very
and
good
put into those
question.
books?
And
Yes, I
and
want to know,
when
where did he learn all this stuff from?
and when he was asked that question, he was told, or he responded or replied and said, if you can find the information that I'm putting out in books, he said, well, then go and find it. And why hasn't anyone already found it and put it out the way he has? I just showed you hundreds of books. Well, that was just about 50 books. He has hundreds of books of information. And so, where can you learn all this information in order to turn around and put it out? And so, they don't want to accept the fact of his divinity. So, they
Hmm.
have to say, well, he had to go to school. He learned Arabic and Imduman. And when he was in Egypt, he went to college and got a degree. Yeah, he did. He studied language and he has a degree. But you can't get the science of the universe from a book. So the fact that he channels information from our prior
Mm.
or our ancient ancestors, all of a sudden now he must be crazy. But for 400 years, you've been taught to believe that angels come and can speak through people or men or holy men, and even if you're a Christian, Muslim, or Jew, they believe that angels came down to Muhammad in a cave and gave him divine guidance. All these beliefs, and then when someone comes along and says, well, angels are nothing but extraterrestrials, meaning you have an extra being on terrain, earth, land. That's what an extraterrestrial is. When someone's born, you wasn't here prior to your birth, you became extra. So when you start getting into
Mm,
removing the spookism out of religion and say, okay, well, we have ancestors that are ancient, and if we're older than the sun, moon, and star, then where did we come from? We just didn't originate here on this planet. We must be older than this planet. So we had to come from somewhere to this planet. Where did we come from? And every culture that you can find, even back to ancient Egypt, speaks about beings coming from the stars, from the Dogons, the Egyptians, even Native Americans. They call them thunderbirds. So how is it now all of a sudden like we're it's almost like they're trying to say we are introducing extraterrestrials to society for the first time when it's always existed.
mm. So, all right. So that's my next thing. So he does teach that there are extraterrestrial beings. That's
Correct.
what
He
he
actually teaches.
teaches.
He does. He actually teaches that
Oh,
he is an extraterrestrial from another galaxy called
oh,
Ilium. Yes, from another planet. And that being
I
that
actually
is
heard that. I believe.
speaking through him is referred to as Yanun, a Yanin. And this is a being that Malachi channels. And this is where all this 76 trillion years of information is coming from. It's coming through him. See, people want to say it's coming from him compared to it's coming through him. Did I
Mm.
lose you?
I was just reading that in the comments just now. That's what a few people said that the information comes through him and not from him. I just read that. Um, yeah, you have quite a few comments on it. They saying that y'all don't know. You either know or you investigate. It's nothing that y'all believe. So y'all know these things.
That's correct. Either we
Okay.
know or
Okay.
we know we don't know.
There's quite a few comments on here, so many, and I appreciate everyone for tuning in. I don't think I'm able to get to every single comment. Um, proven the librarian said because he, sorry, was proven. Let me see, what is this one? Sorry. What is this person talking about? Dr. York. Hold on. Okay.
Almost got you.
So this person right here, I can't pronounce his or her name.
Pa-
Is this person a part of
Musbatu?
the nation?
Sure. Yes. It says
This
Pamu
person a part of the nation?
Musbatu.
All right, all right, all right, all right. And what language exactly is this?
It's a Batik. It's Sabaean. It's an ancient language, actually.
Sabian.
Right. That hadn't been spoken
Okay.
for thousands of years until now. Dr. York brought life back to this language. That's what this book is, the language of time.
And he learned, and this is something that came to him too.
Right. Now he wrote this book while in prison. So now most people want to say he plagiarizes and copies everything. So where did he get the information and for the letters and the knowledge and information concerning the language while sitting in prison?
I heard that about
Because this
him,
is
that he did a lot of plagiarism.
yeah. Now
I heard
so
that.
now it's easy when you got these Googleologists now. You got people out here that can get on Google and now become um, professors professing to know. But now he's been locked up for 17, 18 years. And he's wrote over 200 books since then, if not more. So where's it getting this information from? Is it somebody, a somebody in the other sales giving him the information? But the question is, the name was Pa Musbatu, which is the Sabians. I didn't see what the question was again. It was something about his civilization. citizenship or
Yes, his citizenship. Let me see. Let me go back to that. Okay, so I believe the person started from here. Okay, they started from here. Why are they so afraid of him? And then it went to this. Then it went to that. And then it went to this.
oh, the ECOWAS decision after court powers out yours and after citizen. Correct. Maybe he was just repeating what I stated earlier.
So I
That
think
after
I
that.
think because the comments come in a little bit late, I think he was agreeing with what you were saying or saying it at the same time as you.
Okay.
Prince York is not his father's successor. Dr. York has no successor. We are all student teachers. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you know what? That's something I heard too, that Prince York was supposed to be the successor of his father, but that's not true.
No, it's no one's been named successor. Dr. York is still alive. He's still living. He's still doing what he came to do.
Right. Right. After his father passes, when his father passes, are they gonna? Is that what it's gonna be? His son is gonna be the successor?
That's up to Dr. York. I don't know.
You don't know. He because, like I said, the teachings I have heard him, delivering and so forth. He sounds to me like he knows what he's talking about when it comes to the Sabaean nation, the Nubian nation, but I don't know much about it. There's nothing that I really studied. I never studied it. Never was interested in studying it. To be quite
Right.
frank, I never was interested. But I do listen. If someone is talking about it, I listen. And I retain the information that I was told. Like everything that you've told me, I'm going to retain this, and I will direct people to this interview, because there's a lot of people that are against him, there's a lot of people that are against him. And
It's a lot for him too, though.
like you said, from the plagiarism they saying that he does to the touching, yeah, from the touching the children to they being mad that he had numerous wives to this, that, and the third. It's just always something that they're saying about that man. Always something.
It's mostly
You
jealousy.
know, I don't really get too caught up in it. I don't get caught up in it. I don't get caught up in it because again, like I said, I didn't know him. I don't know him. I don't know anyone that knows him. So there was nothing for me to really get too caught up in, and I know he didn't do it to my family for sure. You know what I mean? So it was nothing for me to really get myself caught up in, especially when I did actually hear that just allegations. It was nothing, proven, so it was nothing for me to really get myself too caught up. It's been so long and it's still a bunch of allegations.
That's
People are
all
still
it was.
saying this, still saying that. Yeah, still saying this, still saying that. But you said he was
But
never convicted for that. So
did you know that all the so-called victims in his case did affidavits, either written or video, stating that they lied and that none of this actually happened?
I watched it. I actually watched 2 videos today of these people saying that they lied.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched 2 today.
So
Hmm.
so now, but as you say, the public opinion still wants to be that he committed these crimes. And they said, well, why would the so-called witnesses or victims come up later? And some of them was years later, some of them was months after his conviction, because people at the time was looking for money. Everyone was looking for a come up. So they thinking, or whatever was told to them, oh, well, we'll get money, nothing's going to happen. And most of these so-called witnesses was actually the the criminals in the case that was actually committing some of these crimes that Dr. York was charged with. And because the government, and the police had this information and evidence, they said, well, we either going to charge you or you're going to be a witness against him. And so one of the main witnesses had a plea, had an immunity. Now, why would you need immunity if you hadn't done anything? Nicole Lopez, why would you need an immunity deal if you are not committed any crime? So they used
Mm.
criminals against Dr. York, the conspiracy to put him in prison and let these people go. And these people are still out here doing whatever or have the opportunity to keep committing crimes.
We got a question right here. 1 second. Let me bring this up. That's a good question. Wait. I got two questions on here. One kind of made me laugh a little bit, but let me get to this first. Question: did Dr. York have accusers from the different countries he lived in to support him being a so-called child molester?
Did Dr. York have accusers from different countries he lived in? No, it was only just from people in New York and Georgia.
Just
So
New
yeah,
York and Georgia.
yeah,
I
yeah.
got
He has lived all around the world, from Trinidad to Africa, London. Like, so, if once you learn the nature of a true pedophile, this is not something you just pick up and you start and stop. It's something that's a part of that individual. And so if you was doing it in New York, and you're saying it's the same people that you brought from New York to Georgia that you were still doing it to, then you lived around the world. And it didn't start till 92, according to them. In 93, when he moved to Georgia, they charged him from 93 up until 1999 of these so-called crimes. What was he doing before that? Because he was 57 years old then. And so he lived in all these other places. Did anyone else ever come
But there's
forward?
a reason why he wasn't convicted, though. There's a reason why he was not convicted, and the reason why he was not convicted is because they have no proof. There's no
Right.
proof. If they had proof, then they would have convicted him. So that's the reason why he was not convicted of those charges.
There was no
And that's just the
DNA.
bottom line to that.
Right. It was no
I
DNA
mean,
evidence. It
right,
was
right,
it was
right.
it was just
So
hearsay. That's all it was.
yeah, I mean, I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that. So and I hear it. And people can say what they want to say. They really can, but
They can.
they can say whatever they want. They're entitled to their own opinion. Like I said to you earlier when we was chatting, people are entitled to their own opinion. People can make up whatever they want to make up, but is it true? Is there facts behind these things? That's the question. Is there facts behind these accusations? And if there were facts, then he would have been convicted for rape, molestation,
Right.
etc. And that's just it. So you're telling us that he's in there for something totally different than what
Right.
the people are actually mad at him about.
That's
Sad.
true.
And someone, what
And
someone said,
but
let me tell you, someone just said, how can a 50-year-old man have sex 20 times a day for 10 years straight? That's a good question. 20 times a day for 10 years straight? Woo! God,
that's that's what they were saying in his case. They was trying to
talking
say in his
about
case.
stamina.
Right.
Woo. Don't forget the government had York under surveillance for 25 years. This is Black Eagle said this.
Mhm.
25 years, godly. That's a long
You're right. So
time.
they would have been seen. They would have known what he was been doing. They said we had video when in court. They said they had video of Dr. York. The videos they produced was him going to a Walmart's and eating at Captain D's, and that was the videos they had. They again, it's all about making something appear to be, and that's what belief is. And that was the spell that we was placed under for the last 400 years of slavery was the belief. So someone can now just come along and tell you something, and we just supposed to accept it and believe it. And that has worked up until Dr. York started teaching, saying belief is ignorance. What about the facts? Because you can believe something and be 100% wrong. So you can believe
Mm-hmm.
you're going to die and go to heaven, and then you die. How can you prove if you went to heaven or not? And if you don't get to go to heaven,
Right,
do you get to come back and start over?
right, right, right. Let us take for a quick, maybe 30 seconds. We're going to take a 30-second break real quick. 1 second.
All right.
You are now tuned in to the scoop.
This is Loyal straight out of Massachusetts. Shout out to Fari X and Pata.
Yo, this is Metaphor, straight out of Boston, Mattapan Zone. You are now tuned into the scoop where enlightenment and entertainment meets. Peace.
It's your girl Ayoka out of the United States of America, repping DNA pushing, and you are now tuning into the scoop where enlightenment and entertainment meet.
This is the God Divine Universal, better known as Kata Mafioso from Grind Hard Radio, and you're now in tune to the scoop, where enlightenment and entertainment meets.
And we're back. Yes, yes, yes. You got to take that quick break. Want to drink some water and want to be drinking the water in front of everybody. So
Like
yes,
I was doing.
all you was drinking something out the cup. I had to drink something. All right. He also pleaded not. Oh, hold on. We got another comment here. He also pleaded not guilty on May 9th, the day after his arrest, which many believe he pleaded guilty originally. What about that?
There's lots of people out there that know about the case. That's good that the information is getting out. Yes, on the 9th, it was a
Pleaded not
hearing,
guilty on
and
May 9th.
he was asked. Every time you go in
Uh-huh.
front of the judge for arraignment, they ask you, do you plead guilty, not guilty, no contest, what? And so he's always held his innocence and denied that he had anything to do with any of these crimes that has been brought up and charged against him, even to this day. Um, it's sad that all this, for so long of the things that have happened to us as a people in this country, that we still suffer from lack of unity, as a people. We're still so divided.
Mhm.
And what is dividing us? What really is causing the division? And it's a belief system. I'm right, you wrong. And if I'm
Mhm.
right or believe I'm right and I believe you're wrong, then I can't work with you. But we was taught that from the slave master. So until we can give everything back to master, and they'll start living for of and by ourselves, by each other, and start creating a lifestyle that fits us and our nature, our natural nature, we're gonna always have this um, chaos, this disruption, this disunity amongst us,
Right,
and
right.
it's sad. It really is.
It is sad. It is sad. So let me see if there's any more questions. Any more questions? I have all the transcripts. So I wish I knew what is this person saying? It sounds like what you said to me.
Oh, Rahubat Moisar with
Yeah,
Mukasina
that
Radio.
that
I was just on that show earlier. So I'm a
that
little
looked
hoarse.
like,
Um,
oh, you just on there, huh?
yeah, that's our language. Yeah, that's our language. Rahubat Moisar, ones who are of the family.
Greetings,
See,
ones
in order for
who
us to
are the
be
family.
free, we also need our own language. You have to have your own name, your own language, your own land, and your own culture to be free. And we've been denied who we are for so long. We actually think it's that we have an American culture that was created, or really a
Mm-hmm,
United States culture that has been created by their language. Their language, how you think, how you speak, how you're going to act because you're acting based on how you think. So if you're speaking a language that originally organically is not even yours, then
Right.
how are you acting organic and natural?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
we have to be reformed. And lots of people that that don't like Dr. York is because he's trying to give us back what he's actually has given us back our way to our natural selves. And people want to remain slaves. I mean, it's some comfortable victims in the world. Nobody, they don't want to give up their, good job and, you know, tennis at the country club and golf with the fellas. It took them a long time to rub the right elbows and lick a lot of boots to get to where they at. And so they don't want to give that up. So
Right. Right.
but nature is making you give it up. 'Cause
Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Is there anything else you want to say to the people while we're on here?
no, if anyone has any questions, like I said, the last brother you just brought up, Mukasina Radio, we have calls on Sunday at 3 o'clock. I have a question and answering on that same radio station on Saturdays, at different times. Normally it's from 10 to 2.
Hmm.
Um, Support, find out what's going on in your
Where's
community.
Where's
You
the
know,
station located at?
say that again. It broke up.
Where's the station located at?
The Mukasino Radio, the radio
Yes,
station. It's on YouTube. You can find it on
it's on
YouTube.
YouTube. Okay. Okay, this person has a question real quick before we go off. I actually just seen their question.
Okay.
I forgot to bring it up. Were there any photos? No, no. There clearly was no photos, no videos because the man was so there was nothing.
It was nothing. It was somebody's, and this is why they shut down because he really won the state case. Dr. York won the state case, and another way to prove that is the children in the state case was given back to their parents. Now, if the parents were at fault, because most of the time, if children had been molested or raped over periods of time for 5 or 6 years, it would have been on the parents as neglect because where was the parents at? So now DFAC sent the children back because they said it was nothing happened. And this is why the feds had to step in and said, okay, we had to create RICO. And you don't need much to prove RICO. How you have RICO with one person, like a mob boss? He controlled
Hmm.
what? What was he controlling? And so that's all they needed was uh, enough of those so-called witnesses that they brought in as claimed to be victims. They used the state case just to create the foundation for the federal case and brought them in to testify and say, well, yeah, he told me to move to New York. I mean, move from New York to Georgia. So they said, well, see? And then they started talking about things that didn't have anything to do with the case. And that was, well, he had sexually contact with these people that he told to move from New York to Georgia. In doing that, they, but he was not being tried in the federal court for rape or molestation because it's not a federal charge. And these are things you can look up, and research to find out the truth about Dr. York's case and stop believing people that are just on uh, social media because they don't have nothing else to do to just sit around and hate because they can't prove their belief and they're mad at Dr. York because like I said, he didn't wrote over, 720 books on so many subjects and topics, and by giving people the facts and the truth to wake them up, lots of people didn't like that. They wanted to keep believing in Casper the Friendly Ghost and the Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus and all those other things, which they still can. They don't have to be mad at us. But those who do want the truth, find out, visit our website, Wusabat, Love and Unity. We're on Facebook. We're all over social media, um, Instagram, and really find out and get involved, and let's come together and let's do something for, of, and by ourselves.
So yeah, I mean, you gave all the information. My whole thing was this, because like I said, I didn't know him, and I'm gonna keep saying I don't know, and never was in that circle. But being being a child, okay, who's gone through certain things as a child, you know, my thing is this: do how does anyone know that he has never actually done anything to any of those children? How does anyone know that?
Anyone else other than someone who would have to be there, right?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Nobody
So
could know.
no one actually knows. But at the
Right.
same time, there was nothing proven either.
That's true.
I mean, true or
It's all
false, can a
conjecture.
child easily be manipulated to say, can a child easily be manipulated to say, he touched me? Is it true? It's true. A child
Well,
can easily be manipulated
here's
to
a
say that, right?
that's true. Here's
And
another point of fact too to point out. It was no children in this case. People keep talking about children,
so there
but
was never no
once it
children.
came to trial, these so-called children was already of age when it came to the trial. So they saying it happened to them 10 years ago or you know 12 years ago. They're saying this happened to me when I was 5, but now they're 17. So they're 17 in the case as listed as a child, and then they seal the files so no one can have access to actually read what was really going on. So now, if you have a black predominant leader in America that for the first time being charged with over at one time 208 counts or 13 counts of child molestation and rape, why you wouldn't want the world to see that and know what's going on? And supposed to be a cult leader, of course, according to their newspapers. He's a cult leader. Now, have you ever had a black cult
Out of
leader
208 people, 208
charged
children, supposedly.
8 counts, right? 208 counts. They're supposedly that's what they put out initially, but then they didn't have 208 people. So like I said, it was all about giving this idea persona to the public of this is what really took place, and people will just be flipping through and catch the news and hear that and go, oh wow, Dr. York, and because they're not going to look into it, they run off and believe it. But when you really find out what he was really charged with, why did the state case is closed, the federal case is closed, why you can't have access, nobody's adults, and no one is still children to this day.
Children.
That's, it wasn't no like 5-year-olds, 10-year-olds
But you know what?
in
Children
court
can easily,
testifying.
but like you said, they became teenagers, and children can easily, and that's still a teenager is still a child, and they can easily be manipulated. Say, you know what? He didn't do it. He didn't do it. Giving money to say he didn't do it. That can easily happen because it's happened with other people who had the money to shut people up. You know, to be able to say, no, it didn't happen. It didn't happen to me after they said it when they was a child, and that's a possibility that something that could have happened. It is because there are a lot of sick people in this world that get off of doing things to children. But again, I just want to know what if this is just something that has been bothering me. This is why I told you I had like my own kind of perception of him, and that was the molestation part. That bothers the hell out of me to hear that a brother, one of our people, were touching on children. And then all of a sudden now these children are saying it never happened. What about something else that I heard off? Because there's a couple of things that I heard about this man. What about this whole the herpes situation? What about that?
Right. They said the children.
Did he?
They said the children in the state case came up with a herpes complex. It was I'm not sure which one,
Yes.
but then Dr. York didn't test for the same complex that they had. So because they were looking for a
Mm.
protein. So if the children had herpes and Dr. York didn't have any form of the herpes that they had, then and he's having sex, like they said, 20 times a week for 10 years straight. And keep in mind, all his so-called wives, how many wives they said he has? 60, 70 wives. He has 200 some children. All these wives and mothers, wouldn't they have also the herpes complex? If he's having children by his wives and having all
So
this
the
sex,
children had
wouldn't,
different strains than he did. They had a
well, he didn't have it at
different
all. Yeah,
strain. You're telling me?
they had the kids that was sexual had the strains of herpes. He never had herpes. And so
Where the
uh,
hell they get me from?
people's testimony. This, see, lots of this is information that people started bringing out into the media that didn't have anything to do with the actual case. So people start fabricating and creating stories around documents because they want to, in social media, in people's minds, they want to get this Dr. York out of here. Don't believe, don't read none of this information. Don't trust him. Don't believe him. Hate him because he hurt little children is what they want you to believe. And so, just like you said, people hear something like that and they feel, well, I don't know. And the first thing we do is back up and say, well, you know what? I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to mess with it because I don't know if it's true or not. I'm going to leave it alone. So that keeps them away from reading the book. That keeps them away from going to get the research and actually trying to look into it or speak to the attorneys to actually find out what really did take place in court. They'll just form their own opinion because we're told you have a right to have your own opinion. And so, because of that, we are so opinionated, people end up in jail based off opinions. People get killed based off of someone's opinion or belief, because
That's a
people.
fact. That's a fact.
So,
No, that's a fact. That's a fact. What you're saying is absolutely correct because I'm one of those people who didn't read the books. I didn't want to read anything because I didn't want no parts of it, period. You understand what I'm saying? Like none. I didn't want no parts, because I didn't know if it was true or if it was false. And I wasn't going to say he did it because I don't know. You understand what I'm saying? But it was just something that really bothered me when I heard his name. Like, dang, did this man do this? Is he really from my city that I grew up in? And he was doing this to all these people? This is unbelievable, and it's heartbreaking. And it's what's even more heartbreaking that is a possibility, a huge possibility that it's a lie. And this man never even did it, and he's being slandered by our own people. That's the thing that really bothers me is he obviously is innocent of that because he was not convicted, you know, clearly innocent from that because there was no proof, no evidence, no DNA, no pictures, no videos, no nothing. But yet, the people are still saying he did this stuff. Like, and when I say the people, I'm talking about our people. You understand what I'm saying? They're still saying that he did these things to children. And that right there will cause anyone to be like, oh hell no, I don't want no, I don't, like hell no, I don't want no parts of that man. You understand what I'm saying? And then, but it's disgusting. It's disgusting as hell. Just to even think about it's just disgusting.
you're right, it is. You froze up there. I can't hear you. I guess we're having some technical difficulty. I don't know if you can still hear me or my screen is froze. Are you there? I can't see any of the comments, so I don't know if we're still live or not. Last thing I heard you were saying it was disgusting, but belief and that belief system. So I'm not sure. Let's see if I can see the chat. Can we still be heard? I don't see you on the screen, so I'm not sure if you're still there. I can't hear you if you are speaking or saying anything, Sister Pari. Uh, I don't know if we even still on. I can't see none of the comments in the chat, so maybe she got kicked off. I'm not sure. Well, I guess they must have shut us down. I'm not sure if I could be heard or not. Uh, okay, I found the comments. Can I still be heard and be seen out there? I see it says you're live. Yes. Okay, you're still live. All right. Well, something happened to Sister Fari's video, so I did find where the comments are at, so I'll try to read the comments. Z Malachi, you're live. She's coming back. Okay. Let me see. I didn't know I could click on here to see questions. Um, was there any other questions? I don't know if the show was ended. I don't even know how long the show actually was to be. Um, keep defending him. Left with leg statements. Does anyone even care about the victims? But I mean, really, there were no victims. Dr. York is really the victim. Um, when you have people that lied and put them in jail. Jim Jones, we have. Oh, we can hear you some more. Tower tag.
Here, I apologize to everyone that was viewing. I apologize. The internet had went
Oh, that's
out
Tariq.
during peace, peace, peace.
All right, glad you're back. They cut you off. They was cutting us off.
The yes, the internet went
I
out
found
during
the
the
comment.
conversation. I apologize to everyone that was viewing.
I seen David
I,
Yoel was in the comment.
yes, there's something going on, and it caused the whole internet to go out.
Mm.
You replied to comments.
No, I actually found the where I could click on it, and I was reading
Thank you
where
so
I
much.
told.
Thank you, thank
Yeah.
you. My goodness, I was so upset. I'm like, hold up, we're not ending this right now.
Yeah, I didn't know if the show ended or not, so I
I'm
almost
back, y'all. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back.
glad you're back. Glad you're back. It was trying to take
All
you out.
right. Okay. So it definitely did not end. Again, I apologize. I apologize. The internet, I don't know what happened, but I was like, you know what? I'm not stopping this because this was getting really good. And then it just wanted to stop on me. So, but yes, I'm back. I'm back, Z Malachi. Um, she will be back. Yes. Okay. Okay, so we want to go back to a question. Hold on. 817. Someone asked me to go back to 817. Here it is. If I can click it,
I
it's not
can't
letting
hear
me
you.
click the question. Hold on. Well, let me read it. Was there any reports of medical records of these alleged victims ever going to the hospital for these 11,568 alleged sexual assaults by Dr. York throughout the 9-year period?
Not a one. That was a great question.
Mm,
So now, how you have children? Keep in mind these are children. That was supposedly being molested time and time again, going to the hospital, getting we had a doctor that lived on the land who worked in the hospital, Dr. Thompson, and it was actually three doctors. So these children were getting checked up. They if they had to go to the doctor or the hospital for anything, for 9 years, not one case popped up of any suspicious foul play, any of that.
Mm. Mm.
By
So
no medical records,
that's
no medical trauma. I mean, think about the trauma. When you really look into children that have really been molested time and time again, the scar tissue is psychological trauma that comes along with it as well. So it's physical evidence. We're talking about physical evidence that would have still been present. If you're talking about a child from age 5 or whatever for 9 years, 6 years, 2 years, a child we're talking about having an intercourse with an adult would have created scar tissue, would have been signs of that. Any normal examination of a female getting her examination would have shown that this child would have been sexually active.
mm.
So, these are things, again, where's the evidence? Now you can get on here. I was reading the comments. I see David, was saying something. He was a victim. Yeah, he was a victim of his mom creating crimes that almost got her sent back to to the island where she's from if he didn't lie. Because we got your letter. We got David's letter
Who was a
and the
victim?
communication between him and his David Yoel or Tariq. I think
He's
he goes under.
he's on
Yeah.
here. Let me see.
Everyone's always looking for their minute of fame, so I figured I'd give it to him.
I don't see
Because
the
again,
comment. I'm sorry, I don't see that comment, but
oh,
you
okay.
can continue. Yes,
So
that's
the
sad.
whole concept, the concept is that, again, people, when you get pushed in a corner and now you have to make a decision from fear of either a parent going to jail or a parent who was trying to extort money from Dr. York, and now you get caught, and now the police are saying either you do this or this is going to happen. As a child who wants to save the parents from their charges or crimes is going to lie. So now the question is, if they all did recantments, which time are they lying? Are they lying with the recantment or are they lying with their testimony? But somewhere down the line, you must be a liar, or nothing happened.
But what
And
would he be gaining? What would he be getting out of lying? Like, what would be the purpose of him lying? What would he get out of that?
at what time? Lying to send Dr. York to jail or lying to try to help get him out?
If he was molested, he said he was molested.
Right.
This person you're talking about, Tariq.
Mm-hmm. That's David.
Why?
No.
That's my thing. What would he be getting out of that? Why would he lie about that?
Why would he keep lying about it? You would have to ask him. But like you said, there's many reasons. If you took
apologize.
Money, if you took money,
and
if
Mr.
you,
you know what, Mr.
If you,
why would he lie?
Go ahead, you were saying? Say again.
Okay, I got a question. I got something to say. All right, so Mr. Morpheus. All right. He's been commenting quite a bit. I haven't been able to read all your comments, okay? And I'm not being rude and skipping over you, okay? Just want to let you know that. But I will say this. If you do not agree with this man, because my platform with this is not for, the bickering, the back and forth and so forth. This is for the Sabaean nation, aka the Nuwapians, to speak their truth, for them to get out their side of the story. All right. So the other platforms, you know, that people watch and so forth. That's what that's about, the arguing and debating and so forth. But if you have something to say, if you have some facts, if you have your truth and you would like to speak, then you can come on my platform to speak, you know. But I don't do the disrespect, all that stuff like that. That's just not what this show, this platform is for. We don't do that here. Okay, we're here to respect each other. Simple as that. Respect each other's truths, each other's opinions. All right, and all the disrespect doesn't need to happen right here. It just doesn't need to happen, you know. But if you do have something to say, and it's your truth, you're welcome to come on the show and talk about it. You know, if you were a victim or whatever it might be, you know. But otherwise than that, you don't have to attack this man that's on the show speaking for this brother. You don't need to attack him. He's just delivering the message. As simple as that. He's delivering the message. Okay. That's all I have to say here, because I do read, I am seeing your comments. I'm seeing the last few since I've been on. I'm looking at them, and you guys, you're really upset talking about some transcripts. I don't know nothing about the transcripts. I made myself very clear here. I didn't follow him. I stayed away from all that. When I heard the molestation, I backed away. Okay. So I did not read transcripts. The only things I read are books that I edit, okay, and knowledge books. That's what I read. I don't get into police documents and so forth. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an investigator. I'm none of that. So I don't read transcripts, just to let you know that. But if you do want to come on here and you have the transcripts and you want to read those transcripts, you're welcome to come on my platform and read these transcripts, okay? That's what I have to say. Please continue.
Well, reading a transcript is just telling you what was said in court. It's transcripts is not evidence. It still doesn't prove that a person committed a crime just because I go into court and said these things happened to me. That's all. What are we going to get from reading a transcript? So I don't know why they
Noel
making
dude is
reference
here
to that,
asking.
but I appreciate that.
I don't know who Noel is. I'm not sure who this person is that they're speaking about, because I did go out for a few minutes. I don't know who is here, what is going on, why is there so much chaos in these comments? I don't know what's going on right now. Okay. Noel, is that the person that you are speaking about? Who
Oh,
is
David
Noel?
Noel? Yeah.
Yes.
He was a so-called victim in the case, in Dr. York's case.
So he's on the show. He's in the comments right now, they're saying.
Yeah, well, I don't know now because I was looking at it earlier when you went out. I can't see the comments now, so I don't know who's saying what.
So this is a here. No. So, okay, Mr. Morpheus says, so this is a hearsay show. No, this is not a hearsay show, but this is not a debate show either. We're not here to debate. We're not here to debate. We're not doing the debate. That's not what this show is about. I'm sorry if that's what you was looking for, but we don't do debates here, you know? But like I said, if you have something to say, and if you have your truth, you're more than welcome to come on here and speak your truth or show your facts on top of that if you're saying that they're facts, okay? But we don't do debates. That's not what this platform is about. Simple as that.
You know what's interesting out of all this? The one person who
And a
hasn't told
conviction.
their side of the story is Dr. York. And so this is what most of these people are truly afraid of when he starts telling his side of the story of what really took place and who was doing what,
If a
where,
person
and when.
is
And they
convicted of a
know
crime,
this.
we have to go by the evidence that was used to convict them. Exactly. Okay. So, but he was not convicted of child molestation. This is what I was just
Correct.
told. So
That's a fact.
so Mr. Morpheus, what is it that you're asking us to read in these transcripts then? Because you just said if a person is convicted of a crime, we have to go by the evidence that was used to convict them, in big letters, to convict that person. What's so hard to understand? That's what I'm trying to ask you. I'm trying to figure out here too, because it seems like you're upset about the molestation part, and they're saying that he was not convicted of molesting children. So please fill me in here. You saying that there's transcripts. Like I said, you're more than welcome to come on here with the transcripts, you know? But the person that's on this show is someone who represents him and has worked with his lawyer for numerous years, and he is saying that this man has not been convicted of doing such things to these children who were, I guess, went into court as teenagers. There's no conviction. He was not put to jail for child molestation.
Here's the docket number. The docket number for the case is 502-CR-00027-CAR. This is his conviction sheet from United States District Court. It has the counts. I know you can't see this, but it has the counts that he was found guilty of. This is an actual from the court. It has a seal from the court, from the clerk of court. And you can find, and this is on my Facebook. I wrote a note on it because that was one of the biggest things that people kept saying he was in prison or in jail for. And you can find exactly by looking up these Title 18 371, Title 18 243, 18 243B, structuring cash 31 532, 31 531, and 18 225C, and unlawful transportation of minors, forfeiture of the land. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Eight counts. There's no rape, child molestation, sodomy, whatever else they want to say. This is why they have to come on the show and still try to uphold the idea that this is what took place, because the state dead docket their case and tucked it away, and now they put themselves on the line, and now they have to keep with the lie because they're still on the hook. The state of Georgia still has these people that are so-called victims on the hook. Now, what can happen if the case opens up and it's proved that he was found not guilty of any of these charges? Then it makes their storyline what? Go out. I think did you freeze up again? We might have went out again. I'm not sure. Can I still be heard? I don't know. I guess maybe I'm still on the show. Maybe she dropped. She did say she was in a bad area with a Wi-Fi connection. So I'm assuming I can still be heard. So you can find out, because now they didn't lie. They don't want to face charges for lying in court. What's that called? Perjury. You purge yourself. So of course they don't come on the show and make comments and say whatever, that they're a victim, or reading the transcripts. What transcripts do they have? Because I would like to get my hands on some of the state transcripts. We got the federal transcripts. We got hearings. There's many transcripts you can read. Transcript is not evidence. One of the last things she did say before I guess she got cut off was the fact that if you was convicted of a crime, you know how many people have been released
I
from
had
being
to
in prison
join. I had to get back
for
on here a
20
different
or
way.
25
I
years?
apologize, you
Uh-oh.
all.
Okay, she's back.
Yes, I had to get back on a different way. The internet is definitely acting crazy over here. So I had to get on and log off and come on a different way. So
You
again,
need to get
but that's not
ample.
going to happen again though.
I know his brother. I see a question. I guess that's ample meaning Rick. I know Rick doesn't want to be on here because Rick was also a part of some of these crimes that was taking place. Like I said, Dr. York never told his story. So if that ample, if he means Rick Johnson, um, he doesn't want to come forth because Rick, who he was living with, and that 13-year-old that he was actually involved with, is something again that these people that was actually committing crimes don't want their crimes to come out, and
Mhm.
really find out who really was doing these things to children maybe on the land that was a part of our tribe. They just had to put it on Dr. York because other people wanted to get rid of Dr. York out of Edenton. So, but I mean,
Mm.
like I said, I'm on Facebook, so all these people
He
that's
didn't say.
on the show that had so much to say, they could have been commenting. They could have found me on Facebook and had any of these conversations. So, but that's interesting.
I don't know what I missed during that couple minutes when I was off, but Edenton, I didn't. I lived very close to there at one point in time. Edenton is a very, very small um
It is.
town. For those who don't know, very tiny. You can kind of get through there in a couple of minutes. You're in and out of that
Yeah.
town, and
Mhm.
it's full of white folks. A lot of white folks there. I mean, there's black people there, but there's a lot of white folks in that town.
Yeah.
For those who don't know where it's located at, it's like right after you leave out of Covington. It comes after Covington, and
Mhm.
it's on your way going toward Augusta. You know, and it's just that area period is I can see why that happened to that man, especially during that time period that he lived there.
Yeah.
You know,
He's
I
very
can see,
racist.
yeah, racism, and it's still like that there to this day. But
It is.
I think that like I'm not gonna say defend. Yeah, I don't want people to think that I don't care about the alleged the allegations, because that's very obvious that I did care about, and that's why I didn't even want to read his books or anything. But an allegation is an allegation. I'm gonna say that again, and if there's no proof to these allegations, then it's nothing but hearsay. Like the guy was saying, I forgot his name, the Mr. person I was talking to. No disrespect, I can't remember what your name was, but it's nothing but hearsay unless there are facts proven. But he did say that he has transcripts, and like I told you, I'm not reading transcripts. I'm just, that's not what I'm here for. I just really wanted them. I allowed them to come. Well, I allowed Amun to come on here to speak their story, their truth, because they are unable to tell what's going on, because it's stuff like this that's going on in the comments, constant debates. People want to fight, people want to argue. No one wants to listen. Everybody wants to argue and so forth, as if they was really there and was a part of it. Now, and that's the problem with our people. No one really wants to listen. They just don't listen, and maybe you all should listen a little bit to what he has to say. And whatever those transcripts are, like I said, you're more than welcome to come on my show and talk about those transcripts. But I personally, for one, I don't have time to be reading transcripts. I don't have the time. I have other things that I do, and transcript reading is not one of them. But um hey, you got the proof. If you, whatever it is, then it's there. I seen earlier in the comments, someone has said something about they sealed the case, or they closed it or something. They sealed it. They sealed the documents. Do you know what that's
Correct.
about? And I meant to bring that comment up, but there was so many other comments coming in, so I didn't have a chance to bring that comment up. What was that about? Why did they seal it?
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. They sealed both the state and the federal. And I was saying, why would they seal it? Why wouldn't you want the public to read and to know what was going on? The court case itself was closed. The court was closed for his trial. They had to watch the trial on a TV upstairs, on a closed circuit TV. So
Mm-hmm.
why would they not allow the public to view this and what was going on? Because then they can come in and do what they want behind closed doors, which what they did, and convict the innocent man and send him off to prison, and then put a bunch of stories and information out for people to run with. Something you had said earlier before you went off. Um, if the court found him guilty, then he must be guilty. Do people do any research to know how many innocent men been released from prison that the court system said that they was guilty? So now all of a sudden we have this perfect, incorrupted judicial system in America. I mean, how many cases? People have sat in prison. Some have died in prison. Innocent people that did not commit the crime because someone came in and said, "Oh yeah, he was the man who raped me," and because he was black, he went to jail. And this man could have just walked in the store and don't know anything of what's going on. But when it comes to Dr. York, for some reason, like I said before, all of a sudden now everything is true. Everything that Master has done is telling the truth. His court system is incorruptible, it's infallible. It does its job all of a sudden when it comes to Dr. York. Why is that?
Maybe it's something in those transcripts that brother was talking about, and why they're saying why they're against Dr. York. Maybe it's something in those transcripts. I'm not
You
sure.
know
It's
how
just crazy to me, but
you
it
see how
must be something. They must have. Uh-huh.
you see how convenient that is? Well, if it's something in the transcript and then the court closes the transcripts to where you can't get your hands on them, then now anyone can fabricate transcripts and say, well, I got a copy of a transcript, but how can you check it or test it to verify that it came from court, but the court has the transcript sealed? So how did they get the transcript?
That's a good question.
Do they work for the county of Putnam County, Edenton, and Georgia? Are these things being passed around? See, lots of times we don't really want to look how far conspiracies and what they call it, um, spies and people that come in and pretend that they with you to get information, who's really working with you,
Agents.
COINTELPRO agents, how far this information goes. And so people get put on payroll, or they're threatened with either going to jail, or someone close to them is going to jail. So they have to live this out. They have to play it out. But when Dr. York is free, then they're gonna have to now say, okay, well, now what we're gonna do? Because that day is coming. And those people that lied, they know that day is coming. And this is why they still following Dr. York after 18 years. You still following a man that's in jail? Why? Didn't you get what you wanted? You said he did this to you. He went to jail. He's in jail. Why you on my show? Why you here following me and harassing the sister because of what I'm talking about? So you should be happy, unless you know or you're afraid that he's about to get out and things are going to start getting revealed, and somebody's going to have to take the cake. Someone's going to have to take the fall, because America is always trying to clean their hands and say, oh, well, we was just going by what the people's testimony, what the children, what they told us. We didn't know. The jurors found him guilty with only one black juror that was picked out of Brunswick. And of course, Brunswick, Georgia is where the brother just got shot and killed from jogging down the street just in February. This is 18 years later. We still getting shot and killed in the street for being black, as they call it. But this is the court system that convicted Dr. York, was in Brunswick, Georgia. And no one find that, strange or coincidental. So
How did they get to Brunswick anyway?
he got moved because they said he wouldn't Dr. York would get a fair trial in Macon because of so much that was going on in that area that people would know about the Nuwapians, which people throughout all of Georgia knew. And so we was just in a parade in Brunswick. So, trying to pick, they felt that having a better jury pool would come from another county if compared to there. So they went to Brunswick, and they was asking, did you hear about this case for the picking the jury? It was like, yeah, I just read about it. I just pulled it up. And they were still allowed to be on the jury.
Wow, so they went from Edenton to Brunswick, from one racist place to another racist place.
Exactly. Which happened to be
Brunswick's
the place
horrible.
where the battle of the Yamansi, like I said, we were Native Americans. So when you coming back, we was not too far from the Eagle Rock Mountain in Georgia. And so us reclaiming who and what we were and are, is awakening that same racist children and descendants that done battle in Georgia to run us out and take our land. It was in Brunswick, Georgia. So it wasn't a coincidence that it just happened to get moved there. So, and then one of their, speaking of coincidences, one of their witnesses that testified against Dr. York was arrested on May 8th, the same day, years later, because Dr. York was arrested on May 8th, the year 2002, which was actually 60 years after Elijah Muhammad also was arrested on May 8th. So one of their key witnesses was also arrested and charged for murder on May 8th from Georgia. And so that was, again, is this them, some system trying to clean up, the conspiracies of, if these witnesses recanted and now they're being charged for crimes that took place back in 2002, and they just said, well, it was DNA evidence found at a murder scene, and it was this man's DNA, who actually was a witness, and the crime supposedly took place 3 months after Dr. York was arrested. And so did you have a criminal as a federal witness in Dr. York's case? See, these are things that people are looking into, and other people don't want to come out, because once this really does come out and all the truth and all the actual facts are presented and who did what, like I said, everybody's told their story except for Dr. York. And when he tells it, lots of people are going to be running and hiding. So they can come on social media, of course. It's easy now to sit around and want to try to create an argument. I don't have nothing to argue about there, about what was said, what was not said. There's no actual facts. It's only your lip service. They can say whatever it is they want to say.
I got, real quick, I had a question, well, a comment, a comment that came to my actual inbox on Facebook. He said that Dr. York knows about someone doing something to a child, so why it was not reported at that time. I must have missed that. That must have been said while I was out of the show. So bring that back for me one time. That you said Dr. York knows someone that did something to a child.
Right. Knows
what happened with that?
First, let me address the concept of knowing information. The same way we know certain things is either we was told, we read it, or we witnessed it. So now, lots of people came forth when Dr. York's conviction, and throughout time, over time, people have started coming forth and admitted of being actually molested and raped by other teenage boys that lived on the land or in upstate New York. So you have people now that have finally, because rape is a traumatic thing for some people. Some people live with it and never reveal things that have happened to them in their past, and because it's a hard thing, it's hard to live with or deal with. One of the things that people, when Dr. York's writing privileges were actually open, I think my earpiece is going out. When the writing privileges was open, people were sending information to Dr. York. We're losing everything. People were sending information to Dr. York. And so
I had to get off the way that we was broadcast. I'm sorry. I had the original way that I was broadcasting. I had to change it up to make sure that it wouldn't cut out again. So I had to switch it up for a second, since there's some type of issue going on outside and it's affecting my internet. So yeah, I had to switch it up.
All right.
We gotta switch it up sometimes.
Yeah. Sorry about that. My earpiece was going out.
All good.
So people was coming forth and letting them know information that they knew about the case, because they didn't come forth, or they was blocked from people. Because when you're talking about an organization that has many people surrounding Dr. York that wanted to take positions of control, well, you can't speak to him. No, give it to me and I'll give it to him. So there was always buffers. And lots of times people that had pertinent information was not allowed to either testify, It wasn't allowed to get to Dr. York. So lots of information didn't come out to years later. And it was people that was there. It was people that were on that trip to Miami that was with Jacob York and actually heard the plot and the conspiracy of saying this is what he planned on doing. You know, so once people started coming out and started revealing more information, like I said, this is over 18 years now. People, it was people that lost their life. Some people have transitioned. People have died in accidents and committing suicides of some of the people that was involved in his case. People wanted to start getting the truth out because they might have feared for either someone doing something to them or nature doing something to them from their own, guilt. So there's lots of information that's been shared with Dr. York throughout the years. And as you put all the pieces together of what boyfriend and what letter, and now you have emails and actual facts of people that were there telling their story. And now Dr. York saying, okay, well, we'll hold on to that information and we can put that out at another time if need be. So one of the things somebody had mentioned AMPU, and I said, are they making reference to Rick Johnson or something, Thompson? And I was like, what does he want to come forth and say? Because it's things that he was involved in that most people think that they don't know. But keep in mind, these people, that they was children at 13-year-old, they grow up and people start talking. People start speaking up because they start standing up for this injustice, the way America is out marching there for this injustice. So now people will start coming forth and say, well, I'm going to tell my truth and I'm going to tell my story. And this is what I know happened. And so now only thing we can do is take these stories and hear them because no one was there to determine if these stories are true or not. So they want to start just talking about stories. We got lots of stories as well. And lots of eyewitnesses and key people that was there that can put people in certain places at certain times. So, we stories are stories.
I'm looking at some of the comments now, and it's really sad, because they are arguing with each other, and I don't know, it's really sad. It's real sad,
Yeah.
It's sad. It's sad. Because I would hate to say, I don't know. I see the brother Tariq on here now, and he's a grown man.
Yeah, he was a grown
So
man. Think about what really took place. The true victim is, look at a nation of people, of us as Black people in this country, as they have it, that was building and having our own thing, doing our own stuff, having our own stuff. And how with this situation that took place, have you put people off their land, out their homes, and trying to destroy a movement that is something for us, by us, to better us. And now look where it put us. Now everyone scattered, disoriented, and right back into the same situation, being abused and killed by racist police. So we was moving towards autonomy and towards sovereign freedom as Native Americans on our own land that was paid and bought for. It wasn't no liens on the land. We didn't lose the land because you didn't pay your mortgage or whatever on it. We owned all 476 acres of that land that we was developing. Imagine 18 years, as fast as we was growing and building, what would Tamaray look like today? What would we have? Sad. So people have to stay home, quarantine. You got pandemics and whatever else is going on in society. We would have had 476 acres of land where we could have came to and wouldn't have been worried about whatever plague that's hitting this country or this planet because of what day and time we're actually living in. So,
all right. Okay. Mr. Morpheus. Okay, I got your name now. And again, like I said, I apologize because I could not remember what your name was. But yeah, he's saying, which makes sense too. He's saying, like what are the plans to actually get him out? Like if he was, if everything is what you say it is, then what are the plans to get him out then? What are the plans?
The plans are to present the truth to, there's so many different routes. The biggest plan that's already been put in place. It's just any day. It could be tomorrow that call goes through from Liberia to the United States, because the documents, his citizenship from Liberia, all these things have been found and confirmed in the courts of Liberia. So, people want to hear say, she say, they can believe what they want. Once it gets into the right court and fought with by the right attorneys to keep this moving, because anytime you try to move forward into court, you have these people that come along and harass the attorneys. They'll find out who Dr. York's attorneys are, call and harass, call and threaten, and say, how dare you defend this man? So, it's a consistent fight with these individuals. Like whatever you're reading, I can only imagine whatever the conversation is going on, because I've seen all
Yes,
types.
I'm reading. I'm trying to keep up because I had got cut off a little twice. So I'm trying to keep up, and I'm trying to just hear everyone out, I'm just trying to hear everyone out. But I guess you could say at this point, I see the Tariq person. I don't, what? It seems like a lot of people know about this man. A lot of people know about him, and I feel it really does hurt me to even think that just the idea of this man being touched and hurt by Dr. York. That's hurtful. It hurts, and why would he lie? That's another thing. Like, what if he's lying? Like, damn, why are you lying then? If you're lying, but if he's telling the truth, that's really messed up.
If he's telling the truth. You know how many people actually do lie on a day-to-day basis? Lying is like a common thing nowadays.
I know. There's people that lie a lot about serious things like this. You know what I mean? Serious things like this. There's people who lie. So it's just it's hurtful. I don't know how he knew about this show, how he knew about the platform and you being on here, but like I said,
they keep up. Your haters follow you wherever you go. Anything you say anytime about Dr. York, they'll be there. They'll show up. They're his greatest fans. Now the question is,
did I know that Tariq had? I don't know nothing about Tariq. I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm sorry. I can't pronounce your name. But I know nothing about Tariq. I did not know he was gay. I didn't know that. So, I don't know.
That either, but
I don't know nothing about that.
Let me ask this. Let me point this out. If let's say Tariq, if whatever he's saying on it, if he was, let's assume for a minute that he's telling the truth, that he was molested and raped by this man that's in prison, right? You're following people around 18 years later, and you're still telling this story. You're not reliving the pain and the suffering every time you have to mention Dr. York's name, or every time you have to. So why would you keep up? I don't know anyone that would follow around people that you was victimized by, but you are like fans, like like you're a fan club or something. Anywhere Dr. York is, you're gonna show up. Who does that? Have you ever known any victims to follow around? It's not even the person who victimized you. It's other people who support their father as if they're supposed to turn on their father. We're just going to assume for this purpose sake, why are you still wanting to be a part of the limelight of Dr. York after 18 years?
Tyreek said he's not here basically for any of this. He just wants to listen. But I just had one question about him
You can't
because
be listening and commenting.
I don't know. I just have one question. Okay. How old was Tyreek when this happened to him?
I don't know. That would be something you had to ask him.
How old were you, Tyreek? Like, I would love to know that. Like, how old were you?
What did his attorney tell him to say? Because we also had that transcript where he was giving his answers to the questions that was going to be asked in court.
I got to show a comment here. It's a very important. This comment is very relevant to what you just said. All right. I followed the man Bruce Sadler who raped me because I wanted to see justice, but nothing. That's why some people will follow their their accusers.
Well, she said she didn't get justice, but Dr. York is in prison for 135 years, right?
But he's in prison not for rape or molestation or anything. He's in prison for something totally different. So maybe that's probably why he's still following them.
Not according to them. According to them, they said he pled guilty, and they showed a video from the court, and that he's charged for molestation, that he's a rapist, and that's why he's in prison. Now,
none of the people involved in the trial at the time that was going on with children. Wow, 7 years old. Oh my gosh. He said he was 7 years old when this happened to him.
He was 7 years old. So now,
boy, oh boy,
let me ask you. Let's bring this to mind. Trauma is a real serious thing. So now you can remember 7 years old, the first time something happened to you, right? Then you're asked, how many times did this happen to you? You can't recall. You don't know. Usually trauma, whatever happened on that day, you recall. His attorney, Victoria Broussard, is a victim of child molestation and sexual abuse as a child. So she has firsthand knowledge of what it is to be traumatized from age 4 to 13.
Listen, I am also a victim. And I cannot tell you how many times I was assaulted. Not all victims remember numbers. Not all victims, especially when we're children.
Oh no, not numbers. But you would remember that first time. That first time of being trauma, you would remember. So when they came to court, let me tell you. So when they came to court, and they had to say, well, when did these crimes take place exactly? That's why they said, oh well, between 2003 to 1999. How you get charged for a crime within a 9-year time span or 7-year time span? When did it happen? Now, these are things that's just argumentative. It's really no point or purpose to that type of conversation, because we've already determined that this person went to court, went to trial, and was supposedly found guilty and is serving 135 years.
There's a question there from Mr. Morpheus.
What was the question? Hold on.
Okay, I'll read it.
Why did he take back
why
his
didn't
plea?
Dr. York why he didn't take it back in state court after the judge denied his plea? And it's still on record.
Take it back. It's on record where? Where is it on record at? Anything that ever took place on court is on record. So saying it was rejected, because when he came to court and the judge asked whoever has the transcript, they should be able to quote it. When Dr. York went in front of the judge is when Judge what was it that recused himself sent him to New York for a psychological evaluation. that was them rejecting the plea because he said that he was under duress. Dr. York did reject the plea. You don't plead guilty and go to court. What you plead guilty and go to jail. You don't plead guilty and go to court. So then why do they have a case in court? So they had to reject the plea.
Tyreek, did this Tyreek guy go to the authorities ever?
I don't know anything that Tyreek did.
And there's quite a few people on this thread that I guess lived on that land with them.
Maybe so.
Mr. Morphus. Sure. Mr. Morphus has an awful lot of information in regards to Dr. York. He has a lot of information, it seems like.
Lots of people do. You can create all kind of things with the computers and internet nowadays. So, I mean, do you have any evidence? I mean, and what exactly is he bringing forth to present? Again, the man that they say committed these crimes is sitting in jail for these crimes, according to them. So who are they trying to convince? They should,
Darren said Dr. York. Hold on. Darren said Dr. York pleaded innocent before their guilty plea on May 9, 2002, which many of his slanderers seem not to mention.
Right. They're not going to bring up anything that's going to go against their belief or their theory, their story, their narrative. So he's still pleading. This
is really deep. This whole conversation is very deep. There's a lot of people who been hurt clearly by this situation. Victims, accusers, their family members, everything. Was Mr. Morphus a Nuwapian at any? Yes, that's my question. Yes, I was wondering the same thing, Kev Mall. Mr. Morphus, was you a Nuwapian at one point in time? Did you live on that land? How do you know so much information?
Ask him what his real name is. People like to hide behind, like I said, it's social media. Anybody can sit behind a computer, say, I'm Mr. Morpheus, I'm such and such, and put out a bunch of information to mislead, to keep the doubt going.
These brothers know about the case very well. Search YouTube defenders. And the truth highly requested video, Dr. York's false guilty plea. Defender so-called victim money. Whew. Well, I will say this. This has been a pretty enlightening show for me from both sides, you know, from the people who are clearly against Dr. York for their reasons, and from you and, you know, your tribe and so forth. I've learned a lot during this show. And, but again, I'm not reading no transcripts. I'm sorry, but you're definitely welcome to talk about it. You know, I just don't have time to read transcripts. This is crazy. I'm not against Doc. I'm showing you why I don't know what's going on. Okay, so Mr. Morphus, did you ever live on that land? Can you please answer that question? Did you live there? Did you have a firsthand experience with Dr. York? Do you know the children that were there? Or is this something that you're just getting from the internet and so forth, these transcripts and so forth? Where are you getting all this information from? This is a very serious question right now. You seem very involved with this, like you were there.
And then ask him what's his real name. If he lived on the land, ask him what his name is.
Oh boy, oh boy.
But again,
because I really just want to know, you know, myself, kind of, you know, he's very involved with this, very, very involved. So I'm just wondering, you know, what is this? Just, is he involved because of research and he just kind of wanted to go through the internet and learn about him? How did he know? How does he know so much about this situation?
Right.
Is my
Well,
question.
it's not the agents, you know. I'm not saying Mr. Morpheus is an agent. I'm just saying, you know, there's lots of agents that are still on the payroll. So
Mm.
it's keeping up with doing their job. And I mean, it's their job. I'm not saying, you know, I'm not reading the comments. So I don't know what's being said, but you know, we have
I
to.
was reading them. I was reading the comments. I tried to catch up, you know, because like I said, I blacked out twice. I was trying to catch
Right.
up on what you were saying to them and what the responses were. So I read through as many as I can, you know,
Mm-hmm.
kind of going back and forth from uh the actual laptop to my phone, going back and
Mm.
forth, you know, because I don't want to get cut off again. So I'm just kind of
Right.
trying to read and talk, go through, you know, everything just to make sure we stay connected. So yeah, I'm just trying. Why did Dr. York did not tell? Okay, I got another question
All
in
right.
my inbox. In my inbox. I don't know if you're gonna be able to answer this, but let's see. All right. All right, all right. He just said that Dr. York know, but they chose to hold on to information. Okay, we're gonna start from here.
Right.
He just said that Dr. York knows, but he chooses to hold on to the information of a child being touched until later. Come on, that's crazy. Unless Dr. York was okay or a part of it. Then the person says, why did Dr. York did not tell the police on what he knew about the child being touched by someone else at that moment when he was free. Instead, he chose to hold on to the information of a child. Why?
People must don't listen, so they must be spending much time chatting in the chat room and not listening to what I'm saying, because now that individual, tell him to tell us and tell me, when did Dr. York know? Because he's assuming that Dr. York knew back in 2002. I told you people been writing Dr. York. This is after he's already been incarcerated for 135 years. So these are things after the fact that come out. This is not something he knew prior to what was taking place in court, and say, "Oh, okay, can I now become the snitch? And I'm gonna snitch on these people. If y'all let me go, I tell on them." The system, the officers, they already knew these people were corrupt. Like I said, why did David Noel's sister have an immunity? What was she given immunity to? See, they not addressing those things. They trying to address things that are irrelevant. The true criminals, the police knew who they were because they was given immunity to testify. So if you're not guilty of anything, then you don't need immunity. And then your testimony is already tainted, because now how can we say you are telling the truth when you're only in here to save your own butt? So of course people will lie to save their own self from going to jail. They'll send someone else to jail. And it happens, and it still happens time and time again. So, and that's another point of how we assume things, to say Dr. York knew. You have to know when he knew. When did he find out that information? So putting it out now doesn't do him any good.
Well, Mr. Morpheus says that Doc paid for him to go to Sudan as an Ansar.
And what does that have to do with anything?
I'm not sure. That came after the fact that they asked, was he a Nuwapian?
Oh, okay.
And he said that. So I'm not sure really what he's gonna have to go into more detail with that.
That sounds like
He's
some
gonna have to
slip
go into more
game to me.
detail. I'm not sure what's happening with that, but that's what he said. He said he never was a Nuwapian. He was an Ansar. Went to school in Sudan. Doc
Okay.
sent him there.
So he's an old timer. He's supposedly been around for a while then, because we was Ansars back in the 80s. So now, how old was he
In the 80s.
when he went to Sudan to study? He went to study language. So he was one of the language teachers.
Let's go. I'm pretty sure he'll answer that.
I don't know how that becomes relevant to the situation, but okay. I guess he's trying to say he's been around for
Someone
a long time.
and then someone else said that they heard that a lot of those Ansars were corrupt behind Dr. York's back.
Yeah, you got corruption
I don't know what
regardless.
these
It's
brothers
people.
from the
You
Defenders of the True channel knows the case at the back, everything. Whew,
you know
y'all,
one of the
goodness.
one of the things we've been conditioned to when you look at the news and a black man commits a crime, they the news makes sure to always point out black man robs convenience store, or black Muslim, black Jew, black Hebrew Israelite, such and such. They always make sure to either give you a religious title or state your color. When it's an American or Amorite or the Adamite, excuse me, the European, they'll just say a shooting took place or a robbery took place. They don't say a Christian, a Jehovah Witness, a Seventh-day Adventist, you know, a European American committed a crime, but they make sure to point out black and African American done such and such. Why is these things done? Because they condition us in a way. So now we start using the fact that we can bring up, or I was there back in the 80s, and that gives me some kind of validation that I have some insight of information. That doesn't prove anything. I'm not saying this to the brother Morpheus. I'm saying this in general. But just for him to bring up, he went to Sudan back in the 80s. I mean, I don't
He's
know.
57 now, he said. He said he's 57 now.
So did he say how you get his
Everybody
hands on
wants
the
to know your
transcript?
name. Yeah, goodness.
I mean, I don't.
Did the
I was just
victims
making
receive
a
any
point.
money? That was one of my questions too. I wanted to know were these people paid? Like if all this were lies, if all these things were lies, were they paid? Just like the brother that's on here that they're saying he's been gay. He was on the land gay messing with a boy, and now he's lying supposedly on Dr. York. They're people are saying that he was paid.
I don't know. If you're going to pay somebody under the table, it's not going to be a paper trail of it. So,
right.
Not going to jail is a form of being paid. Not having to spend your life in jail like Dr. York has been for the last 18 years, suffering and being tortured by the hands of the devil, then, that's a form of payment.
Serious question though. I just looked at the question again of what I read to you from my inbox, and they also put it on, in the comments. Like that's really that's a serious question. Like, why didn't Dr. York tell the police about the child?
When was he going to tell the
I
police
don't
about the
know.
child?
Yeah, when? Yeah, I heard you ask, when did this happen? Like
Yeah,
I heard you ask that, but when did that happen? Yeah, when? Yeah, that is a good question. And why didn't he say anything about this child? Like,
how could he
what in
say
the world?
something? Like, say something when? After 10 years of being in prison? Who was he going to say it to then?
No one was in Dr. York's can't touch and belittle children because they're free. Dr. York should be over what's happening. Okay, so basically, and I've seen this through a couple of other comments too. There are people who feel like Dr. York knew if it wasn't him, like they just knew that. Well, he knew that other people were touching those children and were allowing it to happen there. So that's what a couple of other people are saying that, So, goodness, guilty by association.
Here's the thing: if Dr. York knew, and he's living on a land with over 150 people, and no one else knew, how did Dr. York know? Someone had to tell Dr. York unless he saw it. Now, why didn't anyone else that was living on the land, if there was information that could have been shared of who did what, why didn't those people come forth and tell the truth of what took place? Why are they talking about what he knew now? He couldn't have known then unless somebody brought it to him then. And if he known then and did nothing about it, what was he going to do about it? Because when it was found out in New York that there was individuals doing things in the community, they was put out. So what took place? If those people, Morpheus or whoever has this insight that lived on the land, they know who was there. I didn't live on the land at that time, so I don't know who was there and what knew and who knew what at the time before he was even kidnapped or arrested. See, so now that person would have to prove that Dr. York knew before he was even kidnapped that these things was taking place, compared to finding out as the case evolved and people started coming forth and started saying, oh, here's a letter from David and her sister saying he has to keep lying so his mother doesn't get deported, or so she won't go to jail or be charged for filing a false report. So, you know, those are actual in people's handwritings and who was there, and they named names in the letter, in Otter's letter. So when did Dr. York find out? So just assume that he knew prior to all this taking place, prior to May 2002, is an assumption. And that goes back to belief. And like I said, when you leave out of the system of belief and start dealing with actual facts and know how to ask the right questions, people's stories don't hold up any longer. And you can't be lied to when you don't accept belief. But as soon as you accept something without knowing, with called belief or faith or blind faith, you don't cross the street with your eyes closed. So why do we accept because someone come along and said it? Because we was conditioned. You was taught to believe, put your tooth under the pillow and it's a tooth fairy gonna come and bring you money. You believe that. And you grow up still believing. You believe that licking the back of an envelope won't give you cancer or a virus that's used to kill you. But everyone will still lick an envelope and not even think about it because of conditioning. It's lots of things we will do or even being forced to do. If they make a vaccine mandatory, how do you know what they're giving you? When your children had to get vaccine, how do you know what they was being given? So all this is a part of belief system. We've been conditioned to always believe and always accept without knowing. And as soon as you start questioning what they're doing and to prove it, then you become the bad person. And that's why they don't like Dr. York. He's the bad person because he's saying, I'm not going to believe. I want to read the Hebrew or the Arabic, or show me in the Bible, show me in the scriptures, prove to me that these things are the original, that they are true. And they know once you break out of belief, you're coming back into your divinity. You're returning back to being God. And that's what the devil doesn't want you to wake up.
Okay.
Or us as a people to wake up.
Darren Howard, I don't know where you messaged me at. I'm not sure where. I checked my messenger. You're gonna have to send me a message on FariX Wisdom. I'm not sure what page you might have sent me a message on, but I did not receive it. I have several pages on Facebook. Send it to FariX Wisdom. All right. Or send it to my actual business page, the FariX page, and I'll check it, but just not at the moment.
I'm sorry, my earpiece must have went out. I didn't know that you.
It's okay. I was addressing a comment I seen. Are you fighting with us? Yeah, because Morpheus, the point, yeah, argument. All right, so Morpheus, he's saying he's not against Dr. York, but at the same time, he's saying that your arguments are frivolous.
Well,
but he's saying he's not against them.
I'm not arguing anything. They're arguing with me. What is there to argue about? Their arguments are frivolous because it's just hearsay what they're talking about. Like,
Yeah.
if they want to deal with the fact is the man is in jail. Now, what they might be afraid of is him getting out and the truth being revealed. Maybe that's what they're
Why would they
afraid
be
of.
afraid of him getting out of jail though? Why?
No idea. Unless you done something you didn't supposed to be doing, it might show that you had something to do once the incrimination of who was all involved and how it was a conspiracy and how they did all lie. Maybe it's evidence somewhere that's circulating or that someone is sitting on that could put them all in jail.
Mm.
And then what? It'll help validate the fact that it was a conspiracy to set out and stop Dr. York for bringing liberation, true liberation, to his people of the lost, now found in the West, called America. Because this is a real, it's a
Gotcha.
real, there's a real war going on. It's a real battle that's taking place. They want to call a spiritual battle. Because the 6,000
Mm.
years of the Adamites is up. Adam was given 6,000 years, or the devil was given 6,000 years to rule on the planet. It ended in the year 2000. And so now that they have to be
I got you,
removed off the
Darren.
planet, they don't want to see you, the original people, come back into power and rule. And the only way to do that is you have to get your original mind set back and give them their stuff back. So, it's that nature. Like the captain wants to go down with the ship. The Adamites, their power is up.
Mm.
The government, their ruling in power is up. So they have to do things to keep their slave mentality enforced. So now they'll kill and put it on video to keep us in a uprise, keep us in a fear as well. It should be some type of syndrome now going on. I'm afraid to go outside now. Now, who can I sue? What court can I take this in? Can I get a class action suit to go and say we got 1,000 black men that's suffering from this trauma, that anytime I see a police officer drive down the street, I'm shaking. I break out in sweat. I can't function. So now if I can't live and go out and make a living, who can I sue for that? This is the type of trauma that they're putting on social media and on the news that we see as growing up black men in this country every day.
Right.
So you either become immune to it, or it does something to you psychologically to where, all the way back to Rodney King, it makes you think the police, blue lights, red lights pulling over, and now you're suffering from this trauma the same way they would whip slaves to the tree and make all the rest of the slaves watch. It puts something in your mind to make you now want to be obedient to the master. And this is what the master is still working to do, to keep his slaves in order. And Dr. York is coming with information that's going to liberate your mind and restore your soul. And the devil doesn't want that. He doesn't want you thinking
Mm.
on your own and speaking your own language to say Rahubat. What's Moisar, and how are you doing today? They want you to say good morning and hello, and what is it? Is it good to mourn? Because we've been mourning
No, it's
deaths,
not.
but this is their greeting. It's the hell is low, hello, and good morning. Oh, you went out again. I guess they cut it. They trying to cut your show, but I don't know if you can still hear me again.
Here.
My computer's froze.
I'm here. I accidentally, my bad. My bad. That was me. I
Okay, you're
accidentally
back.
pressed the button.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I didn't get
I thought they
disconnected. I
cut you off
did that on
again.
accident.
Okay.
Yeah, there was no internet problem. I accidentally just logged off.
Oh wow. All
Comments, phone, while I'm going back and forth, and it's just a lot going on. There are two things. So I accidentally logged off, y'all, but I'm here though. All right, so let me say something real quick. All right, I'm getting a lot of messages. I'm not checking any more messages because you see what just happened. I just logged off trying to check messages. So I got a lot of messages in my inbox. One, let me see. I want to get to what Morpheus just said real quick. In the comments, he said, he's saying that these are the facts. He was convicted because of the evidence presented at court. He pled guilty, of which is still on record. And 3, his appeals are exhausted. And 4, Liberia denied him. Are these facts?
No, those are they're facts. Are they right facts? Everything is a fact. Is it an actual fact? That's the question. Liberia hasn't denied him. Liberia is proven that he is a citizen, that he is a consul general and a diplomat. Now the question is, when will that in the United States stop holding that up just to keep him in prison, hoping that he dies before the information is brought forth? He can still file a 2241 because the fact that he was a diplomat, and when he was arrested, the sheriff took his ID card and said we wouldn't be needing this ID and stuck it in his pocket. So they knew about Dr. York in Liberia. Since this person has the transcripts, they should be able to read where the bail hearing for Dr. York, Sheriff Seals stands up and says, we want to deny him bail because of the fact that he'll go back to Liberia. Now, how did they know anything about Liberia if Liberia was something that was supposedly created sometime after? Because they keep saying Liberia. Some people say Liberia is a lie. So now, why was he denied bail? And in that transcript, the Sheriff Seals said he will flee and go to Liberia. Why didn't they say go to Sudan if they said he was born in Sudan and felt that he was from Sudan? He didn't. He said Liberia. And the judge asked, did you have any evidence of this? And Sheriff Seals said he has a letter. And the judge said, well, we'll give you time to go get the letter. And they never brought the letter. He never produced the letter of where Sheriff Seals claimed to get this information from, because he had Dr. York's Liberian diplomatic ID card. They knew who Dr. York was. And if you look at the land and all the flags, you can see it was a post. We had all the country flags as you drove in through the pylon or through the gate. You can see it in the pictures. I have on my Facebook page under Mario Jessup. You can see the land and pictures of the land and all the flags. They saw the liberation taking place to where we now had a alternative instead of just being a slave and a so-called black citizen of America, to where now you could have came to a place. If that land got turned into an embassy, now it's sovereign land, and then the United States can't come on that land. Can you imagine? Nowhere in the United States has this ever happened where you have black land that's sovereign, 476 acres, where people that wanted to be free from this so-called ex-slave master and his system in society, to where you could come and be home and eventually go back home to Mother Africa. Do you think they wanted that? If they wanted us to get up and leave the country, they wouldn't have got rid of Marcus Garvey, because he was trying to say we need to get up and leave the country. So then why did the United States arrest him and have him deported if they want us out the country? They don't want you out the country. They want you to stay here because they don't want what's going to happen when their gods come back and remove them. And they can't remove the devil off the planet after the 6,000 years if you still with the devil. So they're using us as their protection, because that story of God is going to come and wipe the devil off the planet in his own good time is happening. And they knew Dr. York is the one that was going to come to usher you out of the way, that with healing in his wings, as the book of Malachi speaks of. They was looking for this. They had a program in the CIA called To Find the Real Messiah. They know what was being taught in these scrolls and in these books They knew this was the affirmation that was going to really free them, and that also proved that their time had come to an end, that their 6,000 years was up.
Mm.
And whether they like it or not, their time is over. The question is, are we going to go down with them because we want to sit around and bicker about things that are irrelevant that can't be proven, or do we want to deal with the actual facts and say, let's really see what's going on and really look at what's happening in this country right now, and it's been happening and it's not going to stop happening until we do something about it.
Goodness. Mr. Morpheus, my Facebook is FarEx Wisdom. Feel free. The DVHL asked, does Dr. York still wish to go to Liberia?
Does he wish to go to Liberia? What do you mean?
Yes. I'm not sure. He wants to know.
He wants his country to repatriate him, most definitely.
This whole thing is just a lot. I have never been on a broadcast this daggone long, you know, and it's sad. No, really. And I keep saying it's sad because it is definitely sad to even see so much arguing about this situation. You know, my thing is this, you know, I'm not defending this man. Don't feel like people don't think I'm defending a quote unquote child molester. But again, it's not proven facts. And what I am about to say is this: I am just totally against tearing down innocent people. Like, I'm against it. Innocent people of our people, I should say. I'm just so tired of seeing that going on, you know, and that's why I allowed him to come on the show to speak, because everyone it's just like, it's always some type of problems amongst our people, and we are never ever gonna, you know, unify with stuff like this happening. There will never be no unification amongst our people if everyone are trying to attack certain leaders in communities, you know, and tear them down. And I really think that, now this is my belief, okay? I believe that a lot of our people go to the extent of tearing down another leader because they want to be that big leader. They want to be that next big person, you know, that has the followers, that has the attention, that has the money coming in and the donations, you know, all that stuff like that. But you can all be leaders of your own. You know, you don't have to tear down another person to be a leader. You know, you just set the way. You know, you set that you walk that path, and other people will follow you if they see that you're walking that righteous path. But tearing down a 75-year-old man, goddamn, 18 years, like, come on now. Come on, like, there got to be other things. There has to be something else. There got to be something better to do besides tearing down this old ass man. Very, very serious right now. Like, this is really ridiculous. Really, really ridiculous. Okay. Now, what I really believe that should be done, you know, if this man did not do this to children, because that's my whole thing, him molesting children. Okay. If he did not do this to children, then we really do need to be trying to work to get him out of prison, get him out of that cage that he's in. He's an old man. He's old. You know, if they have him in there for those 8 charges or convictions that have nothing to do with child molestation, then we need to be focused on that, getting him out of prison. That's all I have to say. You know, that's what our focus needs to be right now, because right now there's no facts. And and you know, honestly, there won't be any facts of him molesting any children because they're not children no more. And there's just no facts. There's nothing. There's nothing. And sad to say, and the brother that was on here a little while ago, I forgot his name that fast, you know, who said that he was being touched and so forth when he lived there. You know, if that happened to you, you have my condolences. I'm sorry that happened to you. That's really messed up. You know, I'm sorry it happened to you, you know, but I wish if that did happen to you, I wish you would have came forward sooner. You know, I know that a child can be scared, you know, but I wish you would have came forward sooner so there could have been proof of these allegations, because that's what this whole thing has been about. People going back and forth because they feel one person believes that Dr. York is a pedophile and a rapist, and the other person is saying that he's not, you know, and there got to be something else that we can discuss here besides him and these court records and what's really said and what really was not said, you know, and so forth. We need to be working on getting this man out of prison because he was not convicted of rape or child molestation. Okay, he wasn't convicted of that. And it's just, that's all I have to say, like, as far as that goes, you know. And I do agree with the Sabaean nation, the Nuwapian nation. I agree with them as far as trying to free that man. You know, there's a lot of men and women of our people in prison for no reason. They're in there and they're innocent. Yes, get him out of prison. Look at this. Yes, get him out of there. Get him out of there. Let him be able to speak. Let him be able to speak his piece.
And you know what? Another interesting fact is, you mentioned the brother David Tariq Noel. He also did an affidavit recanting his testimony.
How can we free Dr. York? I don't know. I don't know how this man can be free. I have no clue. I have no clue. I'm just hurt just hearing the whole situation, both stories, both sides. That right there is what's bothering me. But my whole thing, like I said, is that this man is old. He's an old man. That's all I'm saying. And y'all got to think about that. Y'all sitting here tearing down this old man right now. He's old.
Who has a family, children.
Yes. Grandchildren.
Great grandchildren.
Yes. Yes.
And
yes, that's what I've been thinking about.
18 years of his life because some teenagers partying or whatever they was doing and get caught and want to put it on someone else to get out of it. How many times kids didn't lie and said, "Oh, it wasn't me who broke the vase because mom came in and both of y'all about to get a beat." So,
Morpheus, I am not just, ignoring anything that you're saying. I said that you can definitely, you want to talk to me, you can definitely hit me up. Like I said, it's Fari X Wisdom, or you can go to the Fari X business page. Okay, Kev Mall. Yes, let's let him speak his piece. All right, Kev Mall. All right, so we've been on air now for almost 3 hours. I'm getting ready to cut this show. I'm probably going to have to bring him back on again. Okay, it looks like I'm gonna have to bring him back on again. But you're not what? I don't know what you're saying, Mr. Morpheus. I don't know what you're responding to. But like I said, you can definitely contact me on there. And if there's anything you want to talk about, you're welcome to come on the show. This was sad, Chuck Morgan. Very, very sad. This whole show, everything was sad. You know. It's just goodness. Oh my God. I wasn't expecting this either. I wasn't expecting this. I was not expecting any of this, but I was told that this was possibly going to happen, but I was not expecting it to happen. And and I did not think.
I was going to say, just thinking we would have advertised it a week earlier, or this was just within the last day. So. But I definitely, again, want to thank you for having me on your show. And if we want to do it again, we definitely can.
Yes, we're going to have to do a part 2 to this. Definitely a part 2 to this. Because now that, like I said, I didn't do much research on Dr. York. I watched things here and there. If it was on, I watched it. Kind of took my mental notes, kept it pushing or whatever. Never asked any questions. I don't like really digging into people's, touchy subjects like that with people, especially with his followers and his students and so forth. So, but now that this conversation has came about and we've been on air for almost 3 hours, I've learned so much from both sides. People have been sending me messages, sending me different, documents and so forth. So I will actually read some of these things, and we can definitely come back on again and discuss, discuss these documents. And I'll tell you about, some of the things that were sent to me, because we are friends on Facebook. So I will tell you about certain things that were sent to me and everything. And we can go and discuss again. Maybe today's Sunday, maybe we can do it again. Maybe say Wednesday, Thursday.
Here's the interesting, here's what my thought about all the, like I said, I can't see the comments, but with people and wanting to say they got documents and they have transcripts, what is it that they're wanting to accomplish by that? What is it they want to see? Because again, like we said, the man is currently sitting in prison. So are you looking for a popularity vote? What exactly are they? What point are they trying to prove? Are they trying to say they saying he deserves to be in prison? That he did do these things? Are they trying to prove it? When according to them, the court, it was already supposedly proven in court, but it wasn't. It was proven that he was accused of RICO and structuring money in the Mann Act. So again, they're either working for another agenda for whatever reason, or they just want to shoot a dead horse. And what would be the purpose of shooting a dead horse?
Some people are just malicious like that, though.
Exactly.
I mean, some people are just malicious. Yeah, some people are just malicious like that. So
now we're talking about a nature, a disagreeable nature, meaning they're going to lie regardless. Meaning they're going to, if you say it's red, they're going to say it's blue. Because it's just in their nature to do it. And so, and we know where that nature came from. What type of nature creates slaves and does what they done to slaves? What kind of nature sits on the back of a man who says, I can't breathe, and waits till he stops breathing before he gets up out there? What kind of nature is that? Is that a good nature or an evil nature? Because that's the same type of nature that people want to come along and say, create this idea that this person is guilty when this person is already sitting in jail. Now they must fear again that the truth is going to come out and his innocence is going to be proven and he's going to get out of jail. So if they can convince, for some reason they must think it's a popularity vote. If we all come together and believe this, that he won't get free, that's not going to have anything to do with it. Don't have anything to do with what you want to believe, because truth is truth. And he will be coming home soon.
I hope he does, because he's very old, and he's obviously being mistreated and everything in there, denied his rights and everything, which is not okay. So I hope he does get out of there very soon. And I hope when he does get out, he's able to have peace, because he is an elder. I hope he is able to have peace, and if this man did not do any wrongdoings to children, then he will definitely have peace when he gets out, but if he did do wrongdoings to children, then he will not have peace, because that's just how the universe works, but I wish him peace. He's an elder, and that's all I can say. And I think when I hear his age, I'm like, he's old enough to be my grandfather, and I wouldn't want my grandfather to be suffering in prison, unless he deserved to be in there.
Exactly.
So on that note, we're definitely gonna have to, matter of fact, I don't want you to come back this upcoming Thursday or Wednesday. I want you to come back the following, like 2 weeks, so we can have enough time to promote the show.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah, let's give it about 2 weeks, a week and a half or something like that. So you can come back on and we'll just continue this conversation.
All right. That'll be great. And thank you for your show and this platform opportunity to get information out to some people that did not know, or that do have still have questions, because there are so many. It's so much that's built around Dr. York and this case, and it's time for his story to be told. And so it's getting close to this time. And when he's free and when he's back and he can sit in this chair and tell his story of what happened and what took place and what he knew and who was involved, then we'll see how many comments you'll have then. We'll see where's all these people that can show up today, where they're going to be when Dr. York is out.
Yeah, I hope he does get out soon, because his time is ticking, So
Yes, it is.
Again, it was great having you on.
Thank you.
It was great having you on. Thank you. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Everyone.
Tawakum.
Yes, just thank you everybody.
Thank all of them.
And until next time, peace, love, and light, everyone. Peace, love, and light.
Wadawu.
Yes.